Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 9. Hello and welcome to the Bad Game Hall of Fame. Welcome to Mighty number 9. This is the show in which we play Mighty number 9, released June 21st, 2016 in North America and Japan, June 24th, 2016 in Europe. So 10 years of Mighty number 9. We could have done this last year for its 9th birthday, but we decided to go for the actual milestone anniversary rather than the cutesy one, rather than the numeric one. Released across personal computers including Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, Microsoft Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, the Sony PlayStation 3 and 4, and the Nintendo Wii U, with versions canceled across the Nintendo 3DS and the PlayStation Vita, as Frank calls it in House of Cards. Developed by Concept and Inti Creates. We'll get into how that workload was split in due time. And published worldwide by Deep Silver, and in Japan by Spike Chun Soft. Hello, Johnny.
Hello.
Charky was going to be here. Charky was actually going to be the one to play the game, but they are vomiting projectiles right now. No, I did not misspeak. They are not projectile vomiting. They are actually puking up projectiles, much like an enemy in a MegaMan game might. So we wish their everything around them luck. We wish all their property fares well. So I guess it leaves it to us, Johnny, to play this game, to document its history, so on and so forth. What is your familiarity, Johnny, with the MegaMan franchise?
So I wasn't much of a Nintendo kid growing up, just what my sisters had. So I didn't get in until, funny enough, MegaMan 9 is the first one, like the big retro throwback.
That was the WiiWare one, if I recall.
Yeah, it started
correctly.
on Wii, but it eventually got ported to everything else, which is when I played it. And had fun with it, but definitely not used to that old school, learn the root kind of game design. And I've messed with other games in the series on and off. There's a lot to mess with. They made 50 of them in all the series.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a from the sidelines fan. I was playing some Mega Man X earlier today, and though the basics of it are fun, it does a lot of platforming stuff I don't like enemies that keep respawning if you don't advance on the screen enough, or deaths that you don't see coming, stuff like that. But I get why people enjoy the series.
Sure, I think that's a fair and measured take. For my part, I did have a Nintendo growing up. It was not my favorite thing to play games on. That would, of course, been my personal computer at the time. But I did play a little game by the name of Mega Man 2. I did have that on cartridge and thought that was pretty neat. I was not so compelled as to get any of the other NES cartridges, let alone the Super NES cartridges or anything beyond that, really. I missed the X series completely. I missed Battle Network completely. And to be truthful, do not have a particular urge to go back to revisit, to catch up on any of those. I even missed the Mega Man Legends, right? That's the 3D one, if I'm to recall correctly.
Yeah, that is probably the ones I'm most curious about, though.
So,
out of the 10 plus versions they have. But,
I did play that Mega Man 9 when it came out on the WiiWare. I do distinctly remember playing through that and being like, this is cute for a little retro throwback thing, I don't think I ever really struggled with Mega Man. I think it's one of those series like Contra or Castlevania, where part of the appeal of it is its high degree of skill required. Is what I've heard. But, to me, there's pretty standard action platformers, at least in the two I've played through to completion. And, I've sampled little bits and pieces of some various Mega Man games in between, whichever one had those Dr. Wowie, the cutscenes, the fully voiced cutscenes. Whichever one that is. I think that's 7 or 8.
That's Mega Man 8. Yes, 8.
Okay, very good. So obviously we're the two most qualified people on the planet, I think, to speak about Mighty number 9. I think we'll do fine. I think, we come at this from the angle of wanting to understand the history behind this game, the context for why it is so infamous. I think that is like my primary point of interest in this. And when I think of like how best to analyze this, I think coming at this from the perspective of not a Mega Man superfan is probably the best way to be fair to this game. In case it wasn't obvious, in case you're going into this not knowing a damn thing about Mighty Number 9, this was a catastrophic Kickstarter debacle. And much of the blame was laid on one Keiji Inafune, who we will be getting into in the history section, and that many of the people who backed this Kickstarter did so on the promise of this being a spiritual successor to the Mega Man franchise by the father of Mega Man, as he had been proclaimed in that Keiji Inafune. So I think a lot of the backlash this game ultimately ends up getting comes from Mega Man fans, which is fair. I think they're the ones who are entitled, if anyone, to the people who put their money up to make this game a reality, to make Keiji Inafune's vision a reality, are probably the ones who are going to care the most, or going to be the most passionate about it. And so if we can come at this from the angle of being less passionate observers, outsiders looking in, looking at the history and the business decisions made, analyzing those, and then getting into the game and appreciating it for what it is, or as the case may be, loathing it for what it is. We'll tell when we get to the game. We will find out for ourselves. I'm going into this with an open mind and open heart. I am totally willing to let Mighty Number 9 whisk me away to a land of magic and Mega Man and whatever else have you. How about you?
Yeah. No, I'm in a similar boat. Because when I actually do like the spirit of what Kickstarter does in funding stuff for indie developers.
Of course, yeah.
I didn't have any interest in this, so this was just one. I was like, oh, that's good for them. It's got the hype. See how it goes well. And then only heard about it like after the fact, all the cursory bad stuff around it. So this further on in time now, it would be interesting to see like. We're so removed from that Kickstarter, and
10 years removed.
Yeah, like distance and also emotionally. So it'll be really interesting to just see like playing it just as what it is now and seeing how we feel.
But before we get to playing it,
we
of course have to cut to that main stage. We of course have to cover a little bit of games history.
This is a present.
Thank you, Frank Gothic, who resubscribes with a message. Happy to be here both to learn this one's history a lot more and to have its due process. That is the Bad Game Hall of Fame promise. I also promise that this history section will go long. It's so long that it's going to be broken up into two parts. We're going to do the pre-release, the development. We're going to do all that stuff tonight. Then when we finish the game, we're going to have a second half, a last back, like third or fourth of it, the epilogue, the post-release stuff to cover as well in future. But this is where the meat of it is going to be, I imagine. And I also have to credit Johnny here to my left with writing the bulk of this, with doing the bulk of the research and writing on this one. Thank you, Johnny. This is certainly territory that has been covered before. We are not the first to try and tell the Mighty Number 9 story, but I like to think that our timeline style and the details we get into and some of the insights we can provide will hopefully make this of interest, even if you've heard this story told before. You haven't heard us tell it.
Because I can say this from the start that my primary source for research at the start was the Stop Skeletons from Fighting videos on the series for this first part, specifically their first two videos. But there is some new stuff, some new perspectives. There's been a lot of time since then. So even if you've seen those videos before, and again, shouts to Uncle Derek, because he goes even more in depth in the Kickstarter stuff than we will. But we do have some new tidbits and insights, so look forward to that.
Yes. And, shouts Uncle Derek, who I wrote for. Not those videos. I didn't write the Mighty Number 9 videos. I wrote like the N-Gage video, the Zebo video. But they are good videos. This is where I know the bulk of my Mighty Number 9 tidbits, context, info from is from that series of videos. So I know there are some things that we're going to cover here that aren't covered there, and some things that are covered in those videos that we're deliberately sort of choosing to downplay or to focus on other aspects of. So we'll get into it as we get into it.
Yeah. But before we get to the main event, let's set the stage and introduce Keiji Inafune. At age 22, Inafune joined Capcom in 1987 as an illustrator, with his first 2 games being art and in-game illustrations for MegaMan, known as Rockman in Japan, and the portrait art in the original Street Fighter for arcades. Now, despite often being referred to as, quote, the creator or father of Mega Man, by his own original testimony, that is not the case, though it is a title and reputation he turned around to capitalize on in the years since. But we have a quote from a GameSpot article that is titled TGS07 Mega Man Celebrates 20th Anniversary by Hirohiko Niizumi. And,
All right, who's doing Inafune in these quotes?
Yeah, I'll get you to play developer roles today, and then any press quotes I'll take care of.
Okay, very good. In that case, I will be speaking for Keiji Inafune. I'm often called the father of Mega Man, but actually, his design was already created when I joined Capcom. My mentor, Akira Kiyomura, who is the designer of the original Mega Man, had a basic concept of what Mega Man was supposed to look like, so I only did half the job in creating him. I didn't get to completely design a Mega Man protagonist from scratch until Zero, appearing in Mega Man X for the Super NES.
That being said, it's fair to say Inafune has been shepherding the Mega Man franchise since being promoted to planner in place of a departing Akira Kitamura for Mega Man 3. Inafune has done character design, planning, directing, or producing on almost every game in the Mega Man franchise, all the way up till Mega Man 10. The success of Mega Man series led to Inafune being promoted to producer role in 1996, not only being producer on Mega Man titles, but on the Musha series and several other games, such as Capcom Fine Evolution, The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, and Shadow of Rome.
Yeah, so this when you say producer, he was elevated to a producer role. That means like in Capcom as a whole, and he would get, put on various different projects. So he was not just he wasn't just a game designer at this point. He was getting into executive sort of business at this point. He was allocating budgets. He was managing resources, that sort of stuff. So he's becoming more business-minded as his career advances, as is often the case in the industry of game design, in the games industry. Ay, this fucking slide. What's this from, Johnny? What fucking visual novel is this from? I know it's one of the concept ones.
Yes, this is from Sweet Fuse, which we will get into a little bit more details. But before then, in 2006, Inafune was promoted again, this time to Senior Corporate Officer at Capcom, and that same year was placed as producer on Dead Rising and executive producer on Lost Planet. Another pivotal moment in his career. Big changes were happening in the industry. High-definition standards on new consoles were raising production costs. The economy in post-bubble Japan in the early 90s was still struggling to recover and would only get worse with the 2008 global recession. And Japan's market share of video game sales was shrinking. And we are citing a New York Times article called Japanese Playing a New Video Game Catch-Up by Hiroko Tabuchi.
All right, and to quote Hiroko here, global sales numbers for the entire industry are hard to come by, but Japan's share of the world's video game market, both hardware and software, has fallen to slightly more than 10% in 2009, from estimates as high as 50% in 2002, based on figures from the Entertainment Software Association, the Japan External Trade Organization, and the research companies DFC Intelligence and Enterbrain. So that's a nearly 40% plummet in as far as their influence over the market is concerned.
And that's not reduced sales. That just shows you how much like the American and European market grew.
Yes.
And, Japan staying relatively small in comparison. But to Inafune's credit, he openly recognized the Japanese video game industry could no longer compete with the burgeoning Western publishers and studios by making games solely targeting a Japanese audience. And we're going to briefly refer to a 4Gamer interview. What were Keiji Inafune's thoughts, ideas, and goals as he left Capcom? A direct interview of him amidst the turmoil conducted by Kazuhisa Okada. We will be referring to this later, but we just need this for context. But in the interview, it's mentioned, as we briefly discussed earlier, quote, if there's a demand for games that sell overseas, then that's very valuable. Which
To which-
Inafune responds, yeah.
To which Inafune responds, yes, and that's my area of expertise. For example, Street Fighter IV sold 200,000 copies in Japan and 2.3 million overseas. Resident Evil 5 sold 600,000 copies in Japan and 5 million overseas.
While these comments are contemporaneous, they do reflect the push Inafune made for Capcom to broaden their appeal to, quote, Western gamers and the games he would produce in this time. Not only that, he was also heading the charge on Capcom relying more on outsourcing for the bulk of their game development. Street Fighter IV being co-developed by Dimps, Bionic Commando by Grin, Dead Rising 2 by Blue Castle Games, and even other Capcom games Inafune wasn't producer on. Results were mixed, however. For every success like a Street Fighter IV and Dead Rising 2, there were flops like Bionic Commando, Dark Void, Spyborgs. But despite the failures, Inafune was still very confident in this, quote, Western appeal and outsourcing initiative, and made his thoughts on the then current state of the Japanese video game industry well known. And we are re-quoting that New York Times article that quotes a quote from Inafune from Tokyo Game Show 2009.
Ahem. I look around Tokyo Game Show 2009, and everyone's making awful games. Japan is at least 5 years behind. Capcom is barely keeping up. I want to study how Westerners live and make games that appeal to them. Ay, ay, ay.
In 2010, Inafune had been promoted from Capcom's head of R&D to global head of production, giving him influence and control over essentially all of Capcom's output, such as being a key figure and decision maker behind Devil May Cry's series reboot, DMC Devil May Cry, during its pre-production and initial reveal in 2010. Check out our DMC Devil May Cry playthrough for the full history and breakdown.
Yes, please.
However, yeah, because we can't get into it here, but despite his recent promotion and recent successes such as Dead Rising 2, which was primarily developed in Canada by Canadian studio Blue Castle Games, and his heavy involvement that in the direction Devil May Cry was taken, Inafune quit Capcom on October 29th, 2010, having been with the company for 23 years. This was announced on his personal blog, but he had actually revealed this a few weeks earlier to Kazuhisa Okada in a previously cited interview from 4Gamer, but it was published after he had publicly made the announcement.
Yeah, just because I imagine he was giving away so much information that they said basically, I'd hold this until Keiji makes the announcement himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a fascinating interview. We linked to it already, the 4Gamer interview. And if you're watching on YouTube, definitely check the description. This is a long interview.
Yeah.
I believe the interview took 3 hours to conduct in person. Keiji took these people on a fucking ride. He basically like blew their minds with like things they were not expecting to cover, subjects they were not expecting to broach. And he's at his most transparent in this interview, as you'll hear from some of the quotes we're going to read out loud here.
Yeah, just for full transparency, we are relying on Google Translation because there are some old translations out there in the world, and they're very unreliable.
Yes,
and
there
I did check with some people,
so we consulted with some folk, and I went over these translations myself as well, for the most part, to make sure that they're like as accurate as possible, given our means, our limited means. But just know that long-form translations that have existed for this, that the people have used as reference in the past, are maybe not faithful, or maybe have some sort of agenda or sort of tone to them that might not be what was intended. We're trying to do this as neutrally as possible here.
Yeah, but I'll speak for Okada here. So, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. Lately, Mr. Inafune has been making more and more statements and blog entries that seem a bit extreme. It also seems that some of the content is being misinterpreted. So, in order to clarify things, we offered you this interview to ask the true meaning behind your statements and the current situation.
Thank you. But I am actually leaving Capcom.
What?
I'm leaving. I think there'll be an official announcement or notice coming soon, but that's all I can say for now.
So, when asked about why he left Capcom and his issues, here's a few things he had to say.
I want to work at Capcom, but how should I put it? I was in a situation where I was practically unable to work. It was like the path that Capcom and I were heading in changed. The reason I decided to quit was because I felt that the game industry itself, or rather the act of making games itself, had to change. It might sound a bit hypocritical, but the biggest obstacle the Japanese game industry is currently facing is the increasing number of salaried employees among creators. Back then, those who entered the game industry with passionate ambitions when they were around 20 years old now are around 45 years old now. I think that generation is holding the industry back, for better or for worse. Of course, there are many people who are working hard as well, but that's not always the case. There are quite a few people who simply stay with a company for a long time, and their status keeps rising. Within that position, they are guaranteed high salaries and prestigious titles, and they live comfortably, losing their passion. In short, it's like a socialist state in a sense. Working hard only results in losses. Not working is more profitable. But doesn't that make you a failure as a creator? This isn't an era where you can make something good just by playing it safe. So, first of all, let me just make sure. I went hard on making sure the phrase socialist state was translated accurately, and there is no other way to translate it. That is the most accurate framing of what Inafune is saying here. As far as what he's referring to, as far as the salaryman culture in Japan, which is, sort of famous, worldwide, that kind of like work ethic turn to like becoming a company lifer, the idea of like, you join a company and you're at the company for life. As you rise the ranks, there's sort of a complacency that might come with it. There's something to be said for that kind of work culture, for Japan's work culture in general. I don't know what Keiji Inafune is trying to say here as it relates to the games industry. Just to confront this, sort of head on, the games industry in Japan, people who were in it from the beginning, had been in it since the 80s and 90s, got into it at a time where it was seen as a not respectable position at all. And the fact that those people stuck around long enough to rise the ranks and to actually make games that had more meaning as time went on, rather than getting away from the arcade trivialities. A lot of Japanese creators, a lot of the old guard of the Japanese games industry are some of the most passionate people, as it turns out. But also, it's just an industry that is always bringing on new blood. It is an industry that is always bringing in new people. And especially in Japan, I would say that before, we had the indie space in North America that was really popping off, Japan was way more likely to give voices, to give positions of power to younger, untested developers, people who were just coming up in a company and who'd demonstrated a passion or an ingenuity or had a novel idea. So I think Inafune at this point is just kind of talking out of his ass, just already out the gate. And by the way, how bold a gambit is it for the first line, his first answer to a question in this interview is not an answer, but the declaration that he is in fact leaving Capcom. That is the first thing out of his mouth is by the way, deuces, which is just he
must have really wanted to get off his chest. I have to imagine.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue with the interview.
Yeah, I will say one little thing. There was recently a Sega 16 interview with, I don't remember their name, but someone who used to work at Sega, an American who moved over and then worked at Sega America, and talks about talking to Yuji Naka and about adapting to Western appeal, and Yuji Naka was not happy. So I do get, he was, oh, you've never made games, what are you talking about? And that was around the time of Billy Hatcher, which almost was Billy Cock. That's a story for another time. But I think you can find examples of what he's talking about. I think it's a very sweeping generalization. That's probably not true, is the problem. But yeah, we'll get on to more because he has a lot more to say.
Kuzi posting, it might be the interview with Mike Fisher, the Sony of America product manager that went up recently.
Thank you very much, Kuzi, yeah.
There we go. We'll continue with the interview, though, and to another photo of Keiji Inafune making wild hand gestures. There's 20 photos in this article, and all of them, Keiji Inafune is doing some sort of hand gestures, is gesticulating wildly.
Yeah, there's one shot that is just his hands, cropped. It's amazing. So, alongside citing salaryman attitudes among creatives, he also cites executives being satisfied with meager sales numbers equivalent to the 80s to 90s instead of the global numbers of 2010.
To quote Inafune, In particular, when someone says they're satisfied with selling 500,000 copies in Japan, I want to ask them, are you even looking at the numbers? Sure, 500,000 copies is amazing, but even if that generates a profit of 2 billion yen, when you consider how much was spent on development, how much on promotion, how much on headquarters expenses, how much on sales expenses, it's just not 2 billion yen.
And 4Gamer respond, certainly for a major PlayStation 3 title, development costs of 2 to 3 billion yen are commonplace, but surely a producer would be looking at numbers like that. What would they do then? What they would do then would be up to the individual, I suppose.
No, if they were really looking at it, they would definitely be aiming more globally. For example, with the PS3, 500,000 or 600,000 copies is considered a huge hit these days. There's no way that number of copies can cover the ever-increasing development costs.
No, I think they are surely aware of this. Am I being naive?
You are being naive, said Keiji Inafune to the humble interviewer for 4Gamer. I mean, the 4Gamer, Okada did ask for it. He did ask the question, am I being naive? And Inafune was more than happy to be like, you are naive?
Yeah. That being said, though, I can think of other Japanese studios at this time that were making games with a wider appeal in mind. Like Konami, for example. Like, that's what Metal Gear Solid was for them, and Pro Evolution Soccer. And there's a couple of other Japanese companies. Like, there was definitely some, like, trying to do more global stuff and not just the niche Japanese
Again,
stuff.
Inafune is painting with a broad brush here. This is, his penchant is
Which,
to...
yeah, I feel like 4Gamer tried to put challenge him on, and he was just not having any of it. So, another issue Inafune cites are Japanese publishers being too restrictive with development teams.
I might be disliked by publishers for saying this, but publishers themselves force a subcontractor mentality on developers. They demand that you deliver the game for this amount of money within this time frame, or that you aim for this many copies sold, regardless of quality. Of course, I'm not saying that developers should be allowed to make whatever they want, but it cannot be denied that many creators with strong brands and talent end up succumbing to that kind of pressure.
And 4Gamer responded, it seems like things work a bit better overseas.
That's true. Of course, there are developers that publishers keep, but overseas there are a lot of independent ones. Independent companies can make a hit game, grow big, sell their company, or go public, and suddenly have a huge amount of money coming in. It's like the American dream.
What about in Japan?
If you succeed, you get sucked dry, and if you fail, it's your fault. It's no good like that. The game industry itself is nowhere near the level where it cares for the creators or nurtures them. Capcom is in the same situation, and I think this is a very bad situation. It's a problem that needs to be changed quickly. Okay, pause, time out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 2010 when this interview is conducted, right? 2009,
Yes.
2010?
Yeah, October 2010.
Okay. So, this is before, Embracer started embracing companies, before we realized the follies of smaller independent studios allowing themselves to be bought out by larger companies, by larger developers, publishers et al. Before we saw that the American dream, as it were, was for these companies to be sucked dry in exactly the same way that Inafune was complaining was happening in Japan. That really Japan was more inoculated from these issues than America was. That American studios were basically like walking into this trap headfirst. I mean, he's coming at it from a want to like make things better for developers. Of course, like, he's well-intentioned in this, and, he's talking about like the subcontractor mentality and, like the ever-increasing budgets of games, which is, genuinely a problem. He's talking about how the cost of game development rises and companies aren't rising to the challenge of meeting like global sales numbers if they're still demanding that games come out ahead of when they should be, sticking to timelines, sticking to budgets and whatnot. It's a nuanced topic, right? There's obviously, it's a business. Game development is a business, and he's trying to come at this from a businessman perspective. And it's not that he's completely clueless. It's just that we have information that he's not playing with. that he's not operating under, and
To-
he's
to
also
a
a little
point.
misplaced. He's also
yeah.
a very specific angle. He has a very specific idea of what game development should look like that is maybe not compatible. That maybe
Yeah.
doesn't need to be like global. It's not one size fits all. And he, with the way he paints with broad strokes, it makes it seem like he has like this one size fits all mentality for how games should be made, and his want to advance that agenda gets in the way of his ability to be objective and to speak on the strengths of certain perspectives, to speak on the pros and cons of different approaches to game design in this industry and so forth.
Yeah, and it's fair to say like the indies, independent studios getting brought up and then eventually shut down or desaturized, whatever. That is far more commonplace now. I don't think it was absent in 2010. I think there were definitely examples in like the past like 5 to 10 years in that time to say like, yeah, this doesn't always work out great. There's like other studios I've been researching that were going through bad stuff like that at the time, so I can think of 1 or 2 examples. But many more things are cited by Inafune as issues with Capcom and the Japanese game industry as a whole. But last, we'll cite this quote as a more personal reason for his departure.
To quote Inafune, I realized that it was pointless for me to act superior and make pronouncements while being within a large publisher like Capcom under a big umbrella, in a situation where I was completely protected from the rain. So I wanted to jump out of that umbrella, shed my salaryman mentality, and test and show my true abilities. So I want to prove that it sold well because it was Keiji Inafune, that if Resident Evil or Mega Man don't sell well at Capcom after I leave, then the proof will be complete at that point. However, times are changing so fast these days, so instead of taking my time and waiting 3 years, I want to get to a point where I can prove it much sooner.
Yeah, I especially wanted to show this quote because very often the reductive telling is that, oh, he was just dissatisfied being in like a high executive role and wanted to get back into the more creative side, and he
Yeah, that's
definitely
like
just
what
talks about that.
That's more Naoto Oshima. Like, if we can harken back to Balan Wonderworld,
Yeah.
Naoto Oshima, who kept getting elevated through the ranks to become like an executive, and the entire time he's just like, I just want to make a game, man. I just want to get back to like the roots of like programming, designing characters and stuff, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and he does express some of that in this interview, but like again, this is why I want to highlight this interview because it shows like no, there was a lot more behind his decision to leave, and I'll give him credit here. He put his money where his mouth is. He was like, it's easy to make these claims about I know how to do things when I'm protected with my seniority at Capcom. So by going solo, I have to, as he says, jump out from the umbrella.
He's framing it like he's doing this without a safety net. He's framing it like, I have to really prove my mettle, to really prove my worth, and to demonstrate that, my value, I need to get out from under the safety net, from under the safety of working for a major company. There needs to be consequences to my actions, which I believe, as an abstract, as an idea, I believe that, you do your best work when you're under the gun. I believe that when you operate without a safety net, when you don't have, like, reliable like means of like supporting your life, and you take a risk like that, it can lead to innovation. It can lead to like some of your best work. But I think Keiji's also being a little disingenuous. He probably is someone who could command respect at any company he chose to work for. He could have taken his services anywhere. He could have shopped his services to any other of the major developers or of the time, any of the major publishers. He probably could have gotten work anywhere, regardless of whatever he did in the years to follow. Unless he did something like completely destroy his reputation. Unless he did something like over the course of 6 or 7 years, completely annihilated his reputation professionally and publicly.
That'd be
crazy. That'd be a lot of work.
Yeah.
But we'll move along. Why won't we? Some of these slides, I haven't really taken a look at. Some of these slides Johnny put together, some of these slides I put together. This one is c'est magnifique.
Yeah. Again, I have to give kudos to Uncle Derek. He posted this on Blue Sky. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh no, we're using that. For sure. So, something you've likely noticed at this point is around this era, Inafune seemed to have a very high opinion of himself. His ability to save the Japanese video game industry and his value to Capcom, such as this comment he made during the announcement of his promotion to Global Head of Productions. And this is from Kotaku. The article is MegaMan creator to assure Capcom's future, and it's written by Brian Crescente. Yeah.
We're just going to fly through several Inafune quotes here, so I'm just going to I'll fly through this. So this quote reads, "So one of the things I want people to know is that now I'm overseeing every part of Capcom R&D. You can be sure that unified vision is going to come through in all of our titles, no matter where they are created." Next, what we're going to read from to give more character to Inafune here. It's we covered this one previously in our DMC Devil May Cry playthrough, but this is a Capcom press conference in April 2009. Eurogamer recorded it. Eurogamer's Tom Bramwell. Keiji Inafune says, "5 years ago, Capcom was at the very bottom of the video game industry, and it was left up to me to think about how we were going to get ourselves out of this pit." And there were times where Inafune would talk about big game, about the Capcom titles he was specifically producing versus all the rest, even within Capcom. This is a quote regarding his goals for the Dead Rising franchise. September 2010, interview with Keiji Inafune conducted by Prima Games, where Keiji Inafune states, "The goal for Dead Rising 2 is to replace the Resident Evil franchise and become the #1 IP within Capcom. As a creator, unless you have a big goal to strive for, you can't create a good game. That's the goal I set out for with any title I decide to create."
Yeah. And I've done some numbers here, but for comparison, and this is something Keiji Inafune has admitted, I believe even in that Prima article, that Dead Rising only really sells well outside of Japan, whereas Resident Evil had been a global hit for a very long time, selling anywhere between 3 and 5 million. I've got some numbers from September 2010, thanks to the Capcom business website archive. Resident Evil 2, PlayStation 1, just under 5 million. All versions, Resident Evil 4, GameCube, PS2, Wii, 5.5 million. And Resident Evil 5 at that time had 5.4 million. So it's ambitious goal, I'll give him that.
Can't fault him for ambition. We'll call it that. Maybe delusions of grandeur. And just one more quote that I have. This is from that 4Gamer interview that we've quoted so many times so far. But when he was asked about the disadvantages of working with overseas development teams, he had an answer, boy howdy. "First of all, if you leave them alone, they'll go bad. They may have the technical skills, but they often lack the ideas or concepts to make the most of them. That's why they're a perfect match for me. When I work with them, they don't need to be a top-tier development company at all. I want to work with energetic and motivated members who have great potential." So this is his philosophy here, what he's basically trying to build, the image for himself he is trying to build, that is, as long as you have the Keiji Inafune producing your game, regardless of who the talent are, who the programmers, artists, designers, any other role, that's all secondary. That's all kind of just like busy work. As long as you have Keiji Inafune, your game's fine. Your game's going to be in good hands. You have the shepherd, you have the king in charge. You'll be all right. Everything will turn out okay.
Yeah, and I want to mention, because with the laugh, you might be wondering, is there a bit of like facetiousness with this quote? He has said a similar thing elsewhere. One of the Stop Scares from Fighting video quotes him saying a similar thing, where he says like, "What's the difference between the studios you outsource with?" And he's like, "The difference is me." So I think he did at least somewhat believe what he was peddling here.
I mean,
but
okay, you have to have confidence. Like,
yes, that helps.
We can laugh at him. We can laugh at this as knowing like how the story ends, right? We can laugh at this knowing the way things go as Mighty Number 9's development continues, and as like his entire ruse falls apart, his entire house of cards that he's so carefully constructed begins to collapse, knowing that all the shots he called end up like missing the mark entirely. But, you know, you do need confident people to like lead a team. You do need people who are fully convinced that like they are the reason why the thing is good. Like, there is room in this industry for egos. I am not one to poo-poo people just because they have a big head. The thing is, you got to match the size of your head with the size of your contributions. And that's really where this is going to fall apart for this poor guy. So,
and also, a big part of this, we didn't discuss the specific quotes because it was a bit messy, but like, for example, in the 4Gamer interview, he also laments, you know, oh, like, I might have stayed at Capcom if they just, you know, they admitted that I was right and they didn't shout me so much. Motherfucker, they promoted you to the head of global production. You kept getting promoted over and over. They went full in to your outsourcing initiative. Reportedly, Capcom almost bankrupt themselves over that. And he's like, oh yeah, I know how to fix things. No one else does. No one listens. Or if they do know, they won't admit it. And it's like, Capcom tried. They were really trying your initiative. So like that stuff in particular like really irks me. Again, if you have the time, check out that full 4-gamer interview. Because he gets into even more stuff. But, you know, we could only quote so much of that.
Yeah, we're only going to spend so much time on that one interview. We say 40 minutes into this episode, so
yeah.
We'll try to move along. Those are the biggest chunks of quote, but we'll continue on. Let's see next a screenshot of the Concept website.
So, on April the 1st, 2011, Keiji Inafune announced that he had established 2 new companies, Intercept, a video game development company, and Concept, a production company that instead of developing games themselves were more of an ideas house, being the creative and concepting side of video games, you know, but as well as other media like books, movies, music, and potentially more, that would partner with external studios to do the development. You can hear this is building on his ideas for, you know, his ideal for what he wanted to do with Capcom before his departure.
Yes, and there is a article here that we're linking to from Andrea Song, which announces, I think is a press statement reposted to this website about the 2 companies that Inafune started.
I quoted this because they did the first initial translations on it.
And just to read a quote from the man, the myth, the visionary himself, ahem, the world needs concepts now more than ever. Spoken by Keiji Inafune. Great. Means nothing. But
Inafune, tell me more about this conception. How does that work?
Well, you can tell me.
So, Concept had a hand in various projects before My Number 9. Their first project, and seemingly the only game Intercept, you know, the development side, directly worked on, was Kyo, King of Pirates, a retelling of the famous Romance of the Three Kingdoms Chinese novel via anthropomorphic animal pirates. This game was to be published by Marvelous and released for the Nintendo DS, though after several delays, Marvelous announced in 2015 the game had been cancelled outright, revealing over 461 million yen had been lost on the project. And we've got a Eurogamer article confirming the cancellation there.
Yeah, so this is one that lingered in development for, I guess, the better part of 4 years before it was ultimately canceled. You know, and they blew nearly half a billion yen on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, what exists of this game are a few ad flyers. Maybe those ad flyers have a couple of screenshots in them. Who's to say how accurate the screenshots are to, like, what was actually in development. But what you mostly get are, like, cutscenes, mostly, like, cinematics, like, concept trailers. So that's what these screenshots on the right-hand side are from. As to what this game would have been, whether it was, you know, shaping up to be a good game, bad game, ultimately there's just not enough information on this thing
sadly,
to draw any sort of conclusion on it. And it was very quickly forgotten as soon as it was canceled. Just kind of buried underneath, you know, Concept's next project. But that's also, like, you know, part and parcel for a company like this. Usually you don't spend that much money on it. Usually, you know, you bail out of an idea like that or fully commit to it at around that investment, at around the 461 million yen line. You would usually have an idea of whether you're committed to a project or not. But, you know, you're going to throw stuff against the wall. Not everything's going to stick. Speaking of...
They also worked on a few titles, such as The Island of Dr. Momo and JJ Rockets, among a few others between the years of 2011 and 2012. But their first notable title released was Sweet Fuse at Your Side, a Otome visual novel for the PlayStation Portable, released June the 14th, 2012 in Japan, and between August 27th and 28th, 2013 in North America and Europe. And it received decent reviews, as well as even a shoujo manga adaptation. And that's where that previous cameo from Keiji Inafune was from.
Yes, the 46-year-old business magician,
completely forgot about this game until looked in this research.
Slime Appears asks, oh, I've heard of this one. Isn't this one of those death game VNs? Probably, right? That would have been the style at the time, 2012. This is around the time of what, like Danganronpa and whatnot. It's a good time to be putting out visual novels.
Yeah, and great to see someone who's even heard of it.
Yeah.
So, next concept worked on Soul Sacrifice, an action RPG co-developed with Sony Japan Studio and released for the PlayStation Vita March the 27th, 2013 in Japan, April the 30th North America, and May the 3rd in Europe. As well as its expansion, Soul Sacrifice Delta, released March the 6th, 2014 in Japan, May the 13th North America, and May the 14th in PAL regions. Both versions did receive decent reviews, Delta again the higher ones, and Soul Sacrifice specifically was cited as a breakout hit in Japan, and we have reporting on that from VG247 going into the Japanese charts.
You ever play this one? I've heard of it. I know it by name only. I know that it has that mechanic, that classic mechanic of, I call it the Bioshock mechanic, for lack of a better term, where when it comes to like enemies you defeat, like certain types of them, you can either like save their souls or sacrifice them to gain more power. Many such cases, many such games.
Yeah. No, I heard about it, but because I got into the Vita with the PlayStation TV, which was a few years later. But I do want to check it out because honestly, even when it was new, I didn't know Keiji Inafune and Concept worked on it. That wasn't advertised very well, so I am curious. So next is a strange one, to say the least. Guild 02 was the second of a compilation game series released for the Nintendo 3DS eShop. This one released on the March 13th, 2013 in Japan, and May 16th, 2013 worldwide.
Hey,
It's published by... Oh, yeah. It's published by Level 5, but it's made up of various games developed by Japanese indie developers, and Keiji Inafune's game, Bugs vs. Tanks, is about German tank operators who were fighting in World War II who, along with their tank, magically get shrunken down and have to fight bugs. Yes, really. You play as Nazis. Reviews are mixed, with mostly negative reviews citing the game as clunky and boring, as well as questioning the choice to make the heroes in the merely bare-thread story Nazis for some fucking reason.
Yeah, this is Guild 02, the second in an installment of anthologies, of compilation anthologies. There was a Guild 01 that was more heavily promoted. I think it came out the year prior, had 3 or 4 indie games attached to it. So this Bugs vs. Tank is just, Keiji Inafune concept, and it creates contribution. This released like alongside like 3 other games in this package that you could get. And yeah, it's curious. It's not the first Japanese game to try and make sympathetic the Axis powers, to try and tell, a war story from the perspective of not necessarily the victors or the good guys, as it were, abstracting it to, taking the Germans, who's to say whether they're not, they could be Wehrmacht. I mean, they're fighting for the wrong side, obviously, still. But
it's definitely, they don't say the word Nazis.
They don't have like a swastika on the tank. You got to give them some amount of like what would happen if a German tank infantry crew got shrunk down?
Iron Cross and other stuff. Like, there's enough context clues.
It's questionable, to say the least. It's a strange concept where it could have been anyone else at any other time in history, at any other sort of conflict, any other way to set up the idea of tanks versus bugs, as the case may be. But this is one they went with, for better or for worse.
Yeah, just a weird choice, because it's a very neutral, just like unemotional, like, oh yeah, I just thought I'd choose this side. It's like, you sure? Did you hear what they did? Whatever.
But ultimately, like this release, like, is completely like obscure, because that Guild 02, the larger compilation, was already like 20 notches below like the hype, the behind the marketing that had been produced for Guild 01, which you've also never heard of in the audience. So this is the sequel compilation to a compilation that everyone had already like completely ignored and been unaware of. So this is just like, it's not to like diminish the contributions, not to diminish any of the games that were produced as part of it, except to say that these are not getting wide distribution in their capacity as 3DS marketplace releases, that they weren't getting much in the way of promotion, especially outside of Japan. But we move along.
Concept's Concept's next collaborative effort was Yaiba, Ninja Gaiden Z, developed in cooperation with Team Ninja and Spark Unlimited, released for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Windows PC on March 20, 14. The game received mixed reviews, mostly leaning towards negative, though Famitsu really liked the game for some reason. In a later interview with Polygon in 2017, Inafune would defend the game. And this article is Keiji Inafune looks back on 5 years of concept, written by Matt Leone.
And I will read for Inafune. Ahem.
Yeah.
There are a lot of reasons why that game didn't become successful, but I think the timing was a big part of it. That game came out right as the console transition was happening, and people were moving from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4, for example. I think that was one of the biggest reasons the game didn't do too well, but as a game, gameplay-wise, I think it's pretty damn good.
However, if you'd like a unbiased, definitive review of the game, check out the Bad Game Hall of Fame playthrough. You'll certainly know where to stick your sword after watching, sugar tits.
Yeah, this one was, let's just say that the biggest problem with the game was probably not the timing, it was probably the content of the game.
It was the gameplay, yeah.
It was the gameplay. It was probably putting Spark Unlimited on the fucking case. Hacks that they were, RIP. Yeah, watch that playthrough, folks.
Yeah.
And yeah, this game also, just as a little bit of a connective thread to this, features as a skin for Yaiba for your protagonist. You can play as Beck from Mighty Number 9.
Yeah. And I think that's just a funny quote to include as well, because it shows like even 2017 wasn't that introspective.
No.
About the failures of concept.
No.
But drum roll. But now we get to our main event. On August the 31st, 2013, at a PAX panel hosted at PAX, I said that wrong. Keiji Inafune announced Mighty Number 9, a spiritual successor to the MegaMan series with a Kickstarter campaign to crowdfund development, seeking $900,000 to fund a Steam and DRM-free release for Windows, with potential release on other platforms based on meeting stretch goal funding beyond that initial goal. Development was announced to be a collaboration between Concept and frequent Mega Man co-developers Inti Creates, as well as various veteran Mega Man developers such as Manami Matsume, Naoya, Tomita, Shinsuke, Kimaki, and even more were announced during the campaign. The excitement around this campaign was palpable, especially the absence of Mega Man at the time. There hadn't been a new Mega Man game since 2010's Mega Man 10. With so much hype around the project, the goal was quickly met alongside 16 stretch goals, and eventually ending on $3,845,170, which was a record high for a Kickstarter campaign at that point in time, and including side PayPal donations, the total being over $4 million.
Yeah, just not to interject too long here, but this was huge news. This was like Kickstarter games. There had been a couple before this point. I think Kickstarter was like 2013, 2012 founded initially.
I think a bigger one would be, like, the biggest before this would have been Broken Age.
Yeah, the Double Fine Productions,
right?
The Double Fine Adventure, which I remember backing. And in this screenshot here, this is how we did this with Wayback Machine. If you're looking at this page, like this looks like this is what Kickstarter used to look like. Yeah, and around September of 2016. So this is 2 days into the 30-day campaign, they had already blasted through the goal and would only go on to quadruple it over the course of the next month or so.
And
but yeah,
like a lot of gaming YouTubers, streamers, stuff like that also put their weight behind this. They would have different feelings about that afterwards, but at the time, like, a lot of people were very excited for this. However, this was a very ambitious project. With all the stretch goals, the project had now ballooned to releasing on 10 different platforms, multiple playable characters, modes, extra soundtracks, and online co-op and battle modes. 4 million might seem like a lot of money, but it's actually quite meager for a game of this scale, especially with what was promised, and then factoring in Kickstarter's cut, the taxing on the funding. There was also a two-player productions documentary they were producing, and Fangamer was producing physical backer rewards, which ate in about 40% of the total. So 4 million sounds like a lot. They had closer to like 2.3 million, roughly.
Actual liquid money that they could invest into the project itself. We'll
Yeah.
get more into this. We'll get into more into this angle and, like, what
Yeah, yeah.
$4 million, what, this amount of money on Kickstarter really means. In fact, for a point of
Yeah.
comparison, you have a pretty good point of comparison here.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. So, for comparison, we can look to Yacht Club Games' Kickstarter-backed Shovel Knight, which raised roughly $340,000. Even for an NES-style throwback, this was a very tiny amount, and the team had to penny pinch as much as possible, such as paying Jake Kaufman post-release to do the soundtrack, funding stretch goals with profits from sales, and halving the pay and expenses per developer, and even more. Even then, they still run out of money a few months before the game was finished. There's a lot to get into, but you could check out. They have an amazing, candid post 1 month sales and development funding breakdown from their official blog. It doesn't seem to be on there anymore, but we have a Wayback Machine archive of it.
Yeah, and again, this just speaks to, obviously, $340,000 seems like a lot less money, but again, the point we're making here is that it's not about the money raised. It's not about, like, the size of the number. It's about how that number gets split, what that number actually amounts to. Like, there's a reason why, like, most successful Kickstarter projects immediately, as soon as they get funded, as soon as they start prototyping, like, immediately work to find, like, actual manufacturers or companies they can align and deal with, to find, like, actual lines of investment and angel investors. That Kickstarter is basically like, the best you can hope to get is, like, a success story that translates to actual real money being put towards your thing.
Yeah, and in some cases, some Kickstarter campaigns had publishers who were waiting to see what Kickstarter backers they got to put money in, even. Yeah. So, even with Mighty Number 9's record-breaking crowdfunding, turns out this was a very meager amount to work with for what concept and integrates were promising. And this fact was not communicated to backers, though, frankly, most Kickstarter campaigns at this era were terrible at communicating how little the money went, speaking of Broken Age. But as far as most people knew at the time, Mighty Number 9 had more than enough funds. Regardless, by May the 30th, 2014, with the release of a new trailer with non-prototype gameplay footage, came the announcement the game would release in spring 2015. We have a web archive of the original upload, but we also have a re-upload. Thankfully, I forgot the YouTube account name, but that's the original gameplay, like full non-prototype gameplay reveal.
We have both these on hand. We'll link to both of these just for posterity's sake. And yeah, you mentioned just again touch on the point you make about how people were failing to communicate, that the lack of transparency was often not, like, deliberate, I want to say, on the part of people who were, like, who had launched a Kickstarter campaign. And then it turns out to be a huge success, and then suddenly they're faced with the prospect of having to be transparent about, like, where that money's going. Like, most people who start a Kickstarter campaign, they set a goal in mind, and they are lucky to meet that goal. For the rare project that manages to, like, triple, quadruple, quintuple that goal, it oftentimes takes these people completely off guard. People who are not prepared to have that much money to deal with, who are now being courted by investors, who are now being, like, locked into non-disclosure agreements as they're, like, navigating deals behind the scenes. It's tough. It's a really tough situation to be in. It's a case where success can be punishing, where like, exceeding your goals can oftentimes completely change the scope of the thing you're producing.
Yes, which is exactly what happened to Broken Age. They described as like a eyes bigger than their stomach situation once they had way more money than they were expecting, and then feature creep, and then it's like, oh, now we have to release this in part, and So, it came as quite a shock to backers when, on July the 6th, 2014, at a PAX panel, Keiji Inafune announced a new round of funding via PayPal for full English voice acting for Mighty Number 9, as well as a teaser for Mighty Number 9, the animated series, to be made by Digital Frontier. Concept was seeking $100,000, with an emphasis that this was being a chance for people who, missed the original campaign to support the game, and any funds raised would only be used for additional development, nothing covered in the original campaign or the stretch goals. These announcements were also posted to their official Mighty Number 9 blog, however, not as a Kickstarter backer update.
Yeah, there's a lot
And
of
yeah.
this. There's a lot of having multiple channels of communication open between the Kickstarter, their personal websites, and their the official website for the project, the company website, and just the failure to make sure there was parity across those platforms makes sourcing a lot of this information fucking annoying. Because you're having to check 4 different sites, and check the
Yeah.
day of like a major news break to see which ones actually reported and which ones didn't. And
Oh yeah.
what it was like, not to be too conspiratorial here, but it was an attempt to tailor the narrative for different people. For different
Yeah.
audiences, that the Kickstarter people wouldn't be made privy, or as immediately privy to the fact that they were asking for additional money because they didn't want those Kickstarter backers worrying or thinking that their donation like only counted for so much.
Yeah.
So
Which obviously by doing that made them worry because it
yes,
looked like you had something to hide. So and something not mentioned on Kickstarter or even the official English blog is that at the same time, a fundraising campaign for Japanese voice acting was launched on Makuyake, which is a Japanese crowdfunding website, again, seeking $100,000. None of this was communicated through Kickstarter updates initially, and as you expect, the 3 simultaneous announcements through the separate channels caused confusion. It wasn't until October the 7th that an update posted addressing and owning up that they bungled the announcement, as well as the full transparency on the cost for voice acting and how the funds would be used, would be posted to Kickstarter. They also announced said funding had not been going well, only raising about $20,000. So to make up the difference, additional funds from upgraded Kickstarter rewards was going to be used to reach the 100,000 goal, alongside a van vote to pick if English or Japanese voice acting, which English won that poll.
so only one or the other, only committing
Yeah.
to doing one round of voice acting that will be used globally for the release. And ultimately, the fact that English wins would point to like where the bulk of this money was coming from. That,
Yeah.
I would say it's not necessarily for a lack of interest from the Japanese audience in getting new Mega Man. It's just that at this point in time in the mid 2010s, that Japan were not as savvy to crowdfunding websites, to crowdfunding services. They had Makuwake, but that was like, and even again, like that's a name that you don't really hear very often, despite being one of the preeminent crowdfunding websites that exists in Japan, or at least it was for a time. Yeah, they were just a bit slower to pick up on that trend, as it were. So it kind of makes sense that the bulk of this money and the bulk of the interest and the bulk of, who was steering the ship, as it were going to be English-speaking audiences at this point in time.
Yeah. So, with the final game estimated a year away, the bungled messaging, the multiple new crowdfunding campaigns, and additional projects, the animated series, we're starting to worry backers, and things would only get worse from here. So, backers got a spooky update surprise on October the 30th, 2014,
That's
announcing
my birthday.
another additional round of funding. This time for post-release DLC stage and a new boss Ray, a very edgy, on-the-nose homage to Zero from
What?
Mega Man
No,
X.
no,
Like-
no way, no fucking way. You're telling me this character, the one we're seeing on screen right now, you're telling me this character was inspired by Mega Man Zero? I never.
Yeah. This time they were seeking to raise $190,000. Now, to Concept's credit, this time the announcement was posted as a Kickstarter update, with full details on the funding required and how they would be used, along with stressing that this was for content outside the scope of the original campaign. And every backer would receive a redeem code for the DLC for free, regardless of when they backed the original project, or the slacker backers, or if they even backed these DLC goals. So, though this update was handled better, the third round of additional funding, and for post-release DLC content for a game still in development, with so much additional content funded from the original campaign stretch goals, received mixed responses from backers. Little updates were given on this new funding on Kickstarter, and by January 2015, all development updates were moved over to being posted on the official blog only, with monthly digest posts made for Kickstarter updates. And for the record, these were literally just here's 3 links for the last 3 months. Like, that's what the digest posts were.
it's better to consolidate than to continue just leaving people
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
loop completely. But this is still something that would like irk
Yeah,
Kickstarter
yeah.
backers to be sure.
Yeah, yeah. They mentioned like it was getting in the way of development to try and like manage all these bins, but like you know, you did have a community manager, so like I don't know why developers were handling that. But based on the last available archive, people did not flock to support this DLC funding campaign, showing only an additional $2,129 past the 100,000 voice acting goal reached as of January the 2nd, 2015. And by February the 10th, 2015, Concept announced in a blog update the DLC goal would not be reached. But try to reassure backers the team would try and find another way to fund potential DLC, as well as announcing development is in its, quote, final legs before we move over to porting to the various systems. And yeah, I have a capture from the Mighty Number 9 homepage that shows what the funding looked like at the time and a link to the blog post about the failure to get funds.
Yes, we have those. And again, benefit of folk on YouTube, you'll find these links in the description of the video as well. Annotated, indicated what they are.
Come April the 28th, 2015, Concept had two big pieces of news. Mighty Number 9 had been delayed, with its release now announced as September the 15th. PlayStation Vita and Nintendo 3DS versions are noted as releasing later on in their FAQ. But with a big change, the game would now be published by Deep Silver, along with distribution. Digital would be $19.99 or $19.99, $14.99 English pounds. Deep Silver's additional funding and support allowed Concept to add Japanese and French voice acting alongside the English, 7 additional language text localizations to the base game, as well as the Ray DLC stage, boss, and playable character, free for all Kickstarter backers, with these additions being cited as the reason for the delay. Not only that, but Deep Silver would be producing physical copies for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, the Wii U, PC, Mac, and Linux, retailing for $29.99 or £24.99. The physical version would include the base game alongside the Ray DLC and, quote, extras. I'm unsure what those were. They don't specify. And yeah, we have the Kickstarter post announcing that. Great news, right? Yes and no. The massive asterisk is that Deep Silver's physical release was entirely separate from the Kickstarter campaign and Fangamer's fulfillment of backer rewards. The physical option for backers were either an NES or Famicom style box with a physical manual, and then you could either get a download code or a DVD or a stylized USB drive for the DRM-free PC version. And as detailed on Concept's FAQ post released alongside the announcement, no option for backers to request the Deep Silver release or refund the physical versions they have opted or upgraded for with Fangamer. And we have a web archive of that FAQ. As you'd expect, some backers, while maybe happy for Concept receiving the additional funding and support, felt shafted, being left out of options for physical versions, despite being part of the initial funding. As detailed in the Stop Scares from Fighting videos, this was a situation Fangamer wasn't informed on, or even had any influence, as they were just a partner for fulfilling the physical Kickstarter rewards. While the potential for a publisher deal had always been mentioned in the Kickstarter's FAQ page and during some press interviews, any potential publisher deals or discussions were never communicated with backers until this announcement. So you can see why some felt like the rug had been pulled out from under them.
Again, I want to reiterate that for mid-2010s, like, consumers at large did not understand how the Kickstarter game was played. It really took this Kickstarter, stuff like the likes of like the Ouya, and, you know, it's the story of the Ouya. Go to badgamehalloffame.com/Ouya for the story of that. It took learning for the audiences, for developers, for people who were putting out projects on Kickstarter, as well as people who were, you know, who sought to back these things on Kickstarter to really learn, like, how the money needs to be spent and divided, the importance of finding additional funding, and how the best laid plans that you lay out aren't always going to be how things actually come to execution. That, you know, it's not always a reality of business that you can plot for all these things in advance and expect them to go the way you initially planned. In fact, it's foolish to believe that your best laid plan is going to come true. And And it's at the same time, like, there is while there is probably some entitlement on the part of the Kickstarter backers, and it's rightful. I mean, they are right to be annoyed if they ponied up the additional cash to get a novelty physical copy, and then if they should choose to get, like, this other version of it, this like this proper retail release version, to not be able to do that, to have to pay separately for that, to have to pay whatever the retail price is on top of what they've already put into this game to make it a reality in their minds. It's definitely upsetting. It's definitely frustrating. It's definitely something they should have fucking seen coming. And that's even with, like, knowing what the 2010s looked like, because this was a precedent across the board for, like, pre-orders. Never pre-order games, folks. Just never ever pre-order games. The incentives are never worth it ever, and also you'll get fucked 9 times out of 10 when they go on to release, like, some definitive version of the game or some other copy of it that includes more content that you're suddenly shafted on. It's just. It's just the way the industry works at this point. And I guess, like, I think people feel more entitled about it, felt more personally slighted by it, because this was ostensibly a smaller scale thing, because they're feeling this is a more intimate conversation between developers and consumers, which it's not. It's still through so many layers of abstraction here. And the Kickstarter process sort of is like, it makes it feel more transparent than it actually is. So they feel like this line of communication goes both ways when it clearly isn't.
Yeah, no, that is how Concept would frame it in, like, the initial pitch and in updates. They did push it as, like, a collaborative idea development. So I can't blame the audience for having expectations. And yeah, just like a shitty situation, because like the idea was Deep Silver would have been like, fuck it, here's like a couple 10,000 extra copies you could give to backers. That's a lot to give a company for picking up their fin. So that's a very unrealistic promise.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And I don't know why. I'm thinking of Shenmue 3 for some reason. I feel like this happened again for some reason.
No, this would never happen. We learn from our mistakes in this industry, don't you know?
Yeah. So, y'all heard about those 4 previous crowdfunding campaign. How about 2 more? On July the 4th, 2015, Concept revealed 2 new Kickstarter campaigns. Red Ash, the Indelible Legend, a spiritual successor to the MegaMan Legends series, which was seeking $800,000. And Red Ash, this is going to be a struggle. Is it Magic Cicada? Or is it Magic Cicada? Magic Cicada.
Or Magic Cicada. It's nonsense word. Fake word.
Yeah. An animated short movie seeking $150,000. While Mighty No. 9 was, at the time, reportedly in its final legs of development, focused on localization, bug testing, and polish, Concept asking people to crowdfund 2 more projects when their first crowdfunding project hadn't released yet, or proven successful, and had run 3 additional crowdfunding campaigns for, did not go down well. And yeah, we have the 2 Kickstarter project links here. Now, to be fair, Concept's pre-production and design work for Mighty No. 9 was already done. Red Ash, the Indelible Legends project leads includes different or unoccupied developers, and the development support, localization, and the voiceover was all being done by entirely different companies from Mighty No. 9. Also, the timing potentially meant the new project had intended to be announced and launched after Mighty No. 9's release. Remember, it was supposed to have come out in the spring originally. So with the delay happening only a few months ago, maybe that's the original timing they thought. But to be balanced, the Kickstarter announcements were a confusing mess and poorly timed, both being announced simultaneously and both being published to the Concept Kickstarter account, despite Red Ash Magic Cicada animation being produced by Studio 4 Degrees Celsius. That was confusing enough, but the Red Ash game Kickstarter was vague, being pitched as a, quote, 3 to 5 chapter 8-hour prologue, with an 8-chapter main story releasing depending on potential, quote, publisher support and fan reception. It was described as an action RPG, but scant few gameplay details. The pitch video was mostly presented animatic storyboarding, like an animation project, and despite being a separate game from Mighty No. 9, was also described as inheriting DNA and reusing the main character names of Beck and Cole. This was not helped by a prototype demo released soon after the Kickstarter, mostly reusing assets from Mighty Number 9, where you can run around, kick cans, and do some light platforming. And I'll be honest, calling this a prototype demo is being very generous.
Yeah, no,
This is
very, 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 very early prototyping stage, but released as if it were a demo, just to show that, like, here is something. We are fulfilling the minimum contractual obligation to prove that this is something that can potentially exist.
Yeah, like the clues I get from it is like, yeah, you can make a game engine run. You can make something you can walk around in, which is that's not much to show off, especially. I think even by then, like a couple, like indie developers, like solo developers, could do that. With how the Virgin Unity stuff, things like that. So, despite initial backer numbers, Red Ash: The Indelible Legend had not been the runaway crowdfunding success like Mighty Number 9, having only reached about $400,000 of its funding in 14 days, and then only gaining about $30,000 by its final week. Come July the 30th, Concept would post an update announcing the game had secured funding via Chinese development entertainment company Fuse. This is either spelt with a Z or an S. Depends where you look. It's spelt differently, so I don't know. It might even be a real company. Honestly, who knows? And regardless of if the Kickstarter campaign met its goal, spoilers, it didn't. Development for the initial prologue alongside its console ports was a go. And yes, we have the Kickstarter update about that called Announcement: Red Ash development is go. But how? How indeed.
It's a crazy thing to put in the headline of your failed Kickstarter campaign. We'll do one more slide, then we'll take a pause to reflect on this whole situation.
Yeah. And to this day, Red Ash: The Indelible Legend status is not officially known, though most likely cancelled.
However,
Red Ash Magic Cicada did manage to meet its $150,000 goal a few days before the end of its campaign, and it released as in 2017, renamed to Red Ash Gear World. That's a lot easier to say. It was part of the Young Animator Training Project's Anime Mirai 2017 project, and I have a Anime's News Network post talking about this like Young Animators Training Project, written by Crystallian Hodgkins.
Thank you for that.
Crystalline Hodgkins. There we go.
This does materialize. So something did materialize from this whole fucking mess. But what a fucking mess this is. Okay. So to speak to releasing this while Mighty Number 9 had not come out yet. This is obviously a case where the company is desperate to put its hires to work. Where they have these people cooking this at the same time, concurrently, while Mighty Number 9 is being developed, being sketched out. It makes sense that there would be people working on a project outside of Mighty Number 9, that it wouldn't just be all hands on deck on one project. In case something catastrophic were to happen, were to fall through, or to linger on development, you need to have other sources of income coming in. You need to have other projects in the works at all times, so you can have a consistent release schedule, so you can block out when you're going to be making money throughout the course of a year, throughout the course of a quarter, etc. Going to Kickstarter was about the dumbest thing they could have done, already knowing how bad their press was, and there should have just been someone whose job it was to just to analyze the optics, just to like evaluate, like, if we release a Kickstarter for this project at this point in time, how is it going to look? What is the reaction going to be? Is it reasonable to expect that people would throw more money at this? And the fact, I will say the fact that of an $800,000 goal for the game end of Red Ash, the Indelible Legend end, that it reached $400,000 does go to show that for as much as we can criticize the companies involved here, Concept, and it creates Keiji Inafune et al. For their lack of business acumen, there's always a sucker. The fact that people were still willing to throw money at this really does speak to, like, of course they would keep asking for money if there were people who were content to still keep giving them money. Like, this is a problem where the audience, where the consumer is so gullible, is so desperate for new MegaMan adjacent content, for they're so attached to this franchise and to the feel and the aesthetic and the style and the feeling of playing these games, where they're so trapped and mired in that nostalgia that they'll just their money, their common sense is overridden completely.
Yeah.
I
And yeah, as we alluded to though, that initial like 400,000 would have been like the first week, and then massive drop off, which like you wouldn't know at the time, but that shows you where it's like, oh yeah, the actual audience size for this that's willing to fork over the money is actually minute in comparison.
Sure, but it still exists. And,
Yeah.
ultimately, the fact that they missed that goal, that they fall short, they do fall well short of the $800,000, but still go ahead with it because of that outside line of investment. I would, if it was ultimately going to default to an outside line of investment anyway, the damage done by starting the Kickstarter and then by the Kickstarter not succeeding, people have mentioned in chat that people use Kickstarters like pre-orders at this point, right? That they see them putting the money down on a game,
which
as
you definitely shouldn't.
which you definitely shouldn't. But at the same time, another thing that people see Kickstarters as being is interest checks. Is another way to conceptualize, to look at a Kickstarter campaign, is we are polling for interest to see how many people are willing to put money down to make something like this happen, who would give us money if this product were to be a reality, right? And by that metric, by that logic, Red Ash failed the interest check. At least the game portion of it did. The animation, whatever. That's just going to be its own thing. It's an easier sell for folk, I suppose. But by the logic of meeting less than or approximately half its funding goal, the people have spoken. They did not want the company to invest time and resources into Red Ash while they still had not delivered on Mighty Number 9. That was the clear message that should have been taken away. If they had someone who was looking at like the optics of the whole situation, someone should have said that. Someone should have said, this is not the time to announce that we do in fact have a line of investment. It's fine to seek investment. It's fine that if they're really passionate about this project and they know that's going to be a good follow-up, that people who are into the MegaMan thing are to be equally into a MegaMan Legends type thing, that Venn diagram is like a fucking circle at some point. What you do is you get the line of investment and you keep hush-hush about it. You continue to work behind the scenes with this thing to develop this thing basically in secret, and then you spring it on the world as a pleasant surprise later on down the line. The way this was handled is so baffling that anyone could have taken a look at this and just gone to Keiji Inafune, gone to the heads, gone to the executive, the C-suite, and been like, the way you're doing this is so nonsensical, and you're going to demolish your goodwill before any of these projects materialize in any capacity. It's so obvious, it shouldn't even need this explanation, and yet companies dealing in million-dollar deals were making these mistakes as recently as a fucking decade ago. So
I think you could say like Concept definitely overestimated how much their audience like understood their weird like, oh yeah, we do like pitch and concept design and then we move on. Like that idea was not communicated well enough for their main audience to understand. And with the time of things, I'll definitely say as well, Kickstarter for video games at this time tended to be more like, here's a thing we want to make. Here's pre-production stuff. Whereas nowadays it's more common that Kickstarters will have more to show for their work. And I think they definitely overestimated that. Oh yeah, we have like a storyboard thing. That's enough to show people. and now we know better. It's like, no. Like nowadays most Kickstarters are just like, yeah, we could make this on our own, but if we get extra funding, then it helps. And that seems to be the safer bet in the long run.
But we'll move on for now. We will return to Mighty Number 9 land.
Yes. Also quick, I saw Shaboy J asked what was Inti Creative Home? They weren't involved in Red Ash. If you go to the Kickstarter, they mentioned the developer. It's not one I've heard of, but there was a supposed developer who was going to make it. But back in Mighty Number 9 land, on July the 23rd, 2015, some retailers started changing the game's release date from September 15 to a placeholder 2016. When asked by GameSpot, a Deep Silver representative declined to comment. And we have a quick link to that from an article by Eddie Amat. Oh, I don't know how to say that. Eddie
Makouche.
Makouche?
Heard it both ways.
Yeah. For Concept's part, they never addressed these rumors in their update post on their blog. Besides producer Nick Yu telling a forum moderator there wasn't a delay and the retail listing changes was a, quote, miscommunication. I guess this is alleged because it's literally a forum moderator saying, yeah, that's what he told me. They could have been making it up, but you can find that in the Stop Scared to Fine video. Then on July the 23rd, 21st, sorry.
Yep.
31st.
31st.
Game Informer reported their parent company, GameSpot, had been told by Deep Silver the game had been delayed. Eventually, on August the 5th, Concept confirmed the delay rumors were true, and in a later Q&A post, Nixu elaborated the delay had been agreed to by all parties 1 week earlier, despite retailers changing the date 2 weeks earlier. And yeah, we have the link to the Kotaku article, The Story Behind Mighty Number 9's Shady Delay by Jason Schreier.
Yeah, that's the article featured here, and it is a good look
Yep.
at the information that was available at the time for like the miscommunications or the deliberate subterfuge that was going on here. I'm willing to concede, I'm willing to speculate, I'm willing to say, in my opinion, in my informed opinion, that this was deliberate subterfuge to try and delay the messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again,
Yeah.
it's speculation. We'll never know for sure, but, patterns in behavior.
So, in an August the 7th interview with Engadget, Nick was interviewed about the Kickstarter, the various communication issues, and in the interview, he states the delay was because of a bug in the multiplayer modes. And this is, the article is, Mighty Number 9 producer, we feel bad. Really, really bad. That is the title. The article written by Aaron... I'm
Soparis.
so bad with names. Superis. That's a cool name. I'll read for Engadget here. So, you said at the start of the interview that your single-player campaign is in a very good place. It's basically complete.
And I'll speak for Nick Yu, who says, yes, it's 100% complete.
Is there no way you could have given that... Sorry, let me rephrase that. Is there no way you could have given that campaign to the people that backed you and maybe release the multiplayer aspect at a later date?
If we were to just give out the single player, that means we have to make the whole package as a single player game. Once that's out, we can no longer say this game is single player and multiplayer. We can only say that this is single player. When that goes to the retailer, you can no longer sell the product as a single player multiplayer game, because it's not, even if you add a patch later on, and the price will just break, because it's only single player. It's not that we don't want to give that to the backers, it's that we can't. Okay.
Hang on. Let me go, trust me, because this is important, because we get a different perspective.
Okay.
In typical Mighty Number 9 fashion, though, Keiji Inafune contradicted some of this interview. An interview with US Gamer on November the 10th, 2015. This is The Whys and Wherefores of Mighty Number 9, written by Jeremy Parish. It is now archived on VG 24/7. So, I coloured wrong, but I'll read for US Gamer.
You'll read for Parish,
was there...
yeah?
Yes. Was there any consideration given to separating the multiplayer out and publishing the campaign on time and then rolling out the online component as DLC?
To which Keiji Inafune responds, with the first possibility of the delay came up, there was definitely that consideration of launching with single player only, then patching in the multiplayer later on. We actually brought this up to Deep Silver, the publisher, and from their point of view, business side point of view, this way of marketing the game is not going to end up well business-wise.
At this point in the interview, Inafune's translator also reiterated the point about having to reproduce the retail version. You can't say it's a multiplayer game because it wouldn't pass certification, which that's totally believable with retail laws, false advertising, things like that. And that making it a single player game would cause the price to drop, which that sounds like bullshit to me. That's how much does a game cost? How much the publisher sells it for?
I get what I get what they mean. I'll read this last Inafune quote for this.
Yes.
Then I'll look into this. So from that standpoint, Deep Silver's decision was to wait and get everything else together, everything that we've promised to backers and to the fans, and to start the sales from that point. That's the result of teaming up with a publisher to make the project bigger. If we were still just an independent developer and self-publishing this game, that option would have definitely been something we would have considered when we were struggling with the bugs. So a couple things to address. First of all, the delaying the game based on netcode, based on multiplayer issues. I know we had there's larger quotations. If you go back to the Engadget interview, there's more on that subject.
Yeah.
Gets
more in depth, yeah.
I underestimated how much people were really hung on to that angle, and when we were looking at comments, replies to our posts on Blue Sky about doing this episode, about doing this history section, So this whole issue that comes out of this, I mean, I think it's just a convenient excuse. I think it's just a scapegoat. I would imagine the issues were further reaching than just a multiplayer netcode bug, because you can never tell like what these people actually mean between what they say, with the people involved in the project. When it's all conflicting messaging, when you can't be sure of if one person's on the same page as another, and Inafune is doing his own thing, like, okay. There's no like getting to a conclusion on that. There's really nothing like we can speculate again.
Yeah.
But there's no conclusion.
I'll definitely say for the post-release introspective comments I found from people, no one says anything specific about like, oh yeah, no, it was more than just netcode stuff. So, not saying that they're denying it. They just no word on it either.
And people have also said the online is bad in this game. So ultimately, it was in service of nothing. All this ado over nothing. Okay. Your point of contention, the bone that you are picking with this is that it being a single player only game would somehow affect the price. And you're correct that the publisher mandates the price. The publisher and manufacturers and those parties involved can say what the price of a game is, and that's the price of the game. What they're saying, what they're trying to say without saying it, is that there is a value expectation attached to a single player game versus a game that has a multiplayer component to it. What they're trying to say is that they can it's easier to get away with a price tag of $30 when you have a replayable component to it. When you have an online component.
I can see that publisher mindset. I do think that's a wrong mindset. I don't know if most people think that way, but I could definitely believe Deep Silver felt that way.
Deep Silver definitely feels that way, and there are consumers absolutely who felt that way. At the very least, there were critics who, in the old like metrics of review scores and replay value being a function of that, being a component of it, where having that box ticked counts for like numbers on an aggregate, and it will get it'll also like help in them saying that it's a good value for the money. For this budget price of $30, you're not paying $60 for this. For $30, you're getting single player and multiplayer. Like there's definitely, I understand their perspective from trying to sell this game to people and trying to sell it at a price that they won't get raked over the coals for. Again, it's all abstract. Money is fake. Not to blow all your fucking minds, but the economy isn't fucking real. Capitalism is a fucking scam. The US dollar doesn't fucking mean anything. You can set the price for anything, whatever you want it to be, if you're a company, and people will invariably pay for it.
Or not pay for it.
Or not pay for it, depending on the price that you set. But ultimately, if you're trying to run a business, it is in your best interest to set a price that is going to be non-controversial, that people will not question openly and loudly and frustratedly. Mm-hmm. So I get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It could be phrased better.
I want to speak of that. I want to address a comment in chat. Wiggy Peppy asks if the price would drop was a mistranslation. So, as far as I can tell, Nick Yu is a fluent English speaker. I'm not confident enough to say if it was a first or second language, but I've heard him speak, so I don't believe that's the issue. But also a big thing I think that highlights here is that Deep Silver and Concept did not seem to be on the same page in a lot of ways.
No.
And we'll see more of that later. But like this is an early sign of it, and we're lucky that Keiji Inafune was open about that early on. So, to try and make it up to backers, on April the 27th, 2015, Concept announced they would be releasing a 4-stage demo. This demo had been recently shown at Gamescom to backers on September the 15th, which was one of the original release dates. On September 15th, the demo was announced to be delayed because of distribution issues. On an art contest blog on their website, not posting about the delay on Kickstarter until 3 days later. And even if you read this archive, you will have to search for this announcement. It is like right in the bottom, like, oh yeah, by the way, the demo's not out yet. It is
just
at this point baffling that the communication issues are still this bad.
How is there? I know this is. How do you have distribution issues on a demo that you're releasing online? How do you have issues just posting a fucking URL with a download link? What's the distribution issue?
I think this might have been coming out like consoles as well, so maybe they were having to do work through like Sony and Microsoft and that kind of stuff. They don't go into details, unfortunately, so we have to speculate there.
Yeah, and either way, you don't announce it in the fucking at the bottom at the addendum of an art contest blog update, and then like keep the Kickstarter backers out of the fucking loop, especially when it's like a date that has significance, like a September 15th, like an original intended slated release date for the game, and then you're delaying that. You're missing that by several days. You can miss it by several days if you announce it like in advance. You say like, hey, we're being very public and transparent. I guess you can't. I guess at this point you can't. I guess if you're working for a concept, you can't do that. If you're running the Kickstarter, you really can't afford to delay fucking anything anymore when the main product is already lingering so fucking long. But continue.
Speaking of, then January 25th, 2016, Concept Pro posted a Kickstarter update that the game had been delayed for a third time to spring 2016. Again, issues with the multiplayer bugs were cited as the cause. Alongside difficulties with resolving this issue on so many platforms, they also cite that they are using an engine that's no longer officially supported, so they are having to work on that themselves. And yeah, this is detailed in a Kickstarter update.
At least they posted the Kickstarter. That's an improvement, right? They posted this one to Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, then no updates were posted on Kickstarter until 4 months later, on May the 2nd, 2015. And here's good news, though. Mighty Number 9 had gone gold. This is industry term for when like a game is done, code complete, and you're sending it off to certification.
But it speaks about like masters, like it's gold. It's like reference, like printing gold. It's like it's mastering a CD, mastering a vinyl. It's going.
Yeah. So the final game's release date was confirmed for June the 21st, 2016, and quote, portable versions for PlayStation Vita and Nintendo 3DS will follow at a later point. And yeah, here's the Kickstarter post. Mighty Number 9 goes gold.
How about those 3DS and PlayStation Vita versions, huh? We'll get to more of that in the post.
We'll get to that
in the epilogue.
Yeah.
I mean, but know that we know. Know that we know. And then let us get through these last few slides here.
Yeah.
We're going to play a game tonight at some point, ostensibly.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy stuff.
So, on March the 25th, 2015, Deep Silver released a masterclass trailer. That's the name of the trailer. So, this was the second of their Mighty Number 9 trailers. And it has, the first one has the same tone and presentation. The original was released on November the 30th. Sorry, I think I meant to say that May 2016 is when this trailer came out, and the first one was November 2015. For perspective, the first trailer currently has less than 60,000 views, which for comparison, over 60,000 people backed the project on Kickstarter. So I think that shows that like Deep Silver weren't doing a great job at marketing it before the masterclass trailer already. If that trailer was like so like no one's seen it, but the second one is the one that becomes more famous. But yeah, as a treat,
why don't we watch both trailers?
Yeah, the first one is called Bring It.
Bring It.
And funny enough, the second one has a callback to this trailer. So we'll get like the full story.
Finally, the full story will be told. The full story that only 60,000 people would have potentially been privy to back in the day.
That's wild, isn't it?
Now be
less
told
people
in
who
full.
backed the Kickstarter have seen this trailer officially. Like, we have the numbers to prove that. That is wild.
All right, this is the Bring It trailer.
You see this game right here?
Yes, sir.
This is Mighty Number 9, and all it wants to be is fun, and challenging, and fun, and replayable as hell. And oh, did I mention fun?
Bring it on.
Did they mention fun yet? Did they mention that it was...
Ways to play this game. You like fighting bosses? Boom! Boss Rush Mode, baby! You want to tackle all the challenges we got? On it. Here's a challenge mode for you. Next. Oh, what's that? Make it harder. You asked for it. One-hit death maniac mode. But that's just what we call it. You'll be calling it, why are you doing this to me? And of course, you can go online and team up or face off against your friends, or strangers, or even that weird dude who lives down the street whose name is probably Vernon, or some other creepy thing.
What just happened?
Sorry, got lost there. Check out this montage.
So really playing up the difficulty, really playing up the net play.
And this is all just the beginning. So what are you waiting for? Mighty number 9. Available February 9th. Bring it.
Oh, the Retro Hero DLC.
Yeah.
Gotta get on that. Okay, that's trailer
Yeah.
number 1.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate the tone. Cards on the
It's-
table, that's repellent to me.
It's so it's weird. It's like a parody of what like a non-video game exec thinks video game trailers are. Like that's what it comes off like. Like even if it's not intentional, it feels like it's making fun of the audience to a degree. Especially Vernon, who caught strays in that trailer.
At the very least, though, it is a trailer that is advertising the variety of gameplay modes. At the very least, if you look past the tone and the writing of it, it is expressing that, hey, here's all the modalities. There's gonna be modifiers. Here's gonna be ways to up the difficulty so you can show off to your friends or whatever. And in an era where Xbox achievements are a big deal, maybe that held some sort of value, held some sort of sway.
But yeah, misreading the target audience though, if they thought that's what they'd be into. But let's watch the more infamous of the two, the Masterclass trailer.
Oh, what a masterclass it is. Prepare to be schooled.
Hey, you, looking at the screen. Let me ask you a question. Do you like awesome things that are awesome? Then you gotta play this game, dude. It's friggin' cool and crazy addictive. Like popping bubble wrap addictive. Check this out.
Sold.
That's your dash move.
Take my money.
Dash, long dash, jump dash, spiral, slide. There's probably a dash that makes you breakfast. I don't know.
Great idea. Wait, what?
Point is, you're dashing around like a friggin' moon man, and I love it. Oh, and look at this. There's all these combo moves you can do. Then you can do combos on combos to rack up your score. And I know you like that combo on combo action. But I saved the best for last. Absorption boosts. You kill an enemy, and you can absorb their power-ups. Stuff that'll make you faster and stronger, and make the bad guys cry like an anime fan on prom night. So what do you think? You ready to play? I'm ready. No one's talking to you, Vernon.
There's the callback.
Mighty number 9.
Ay, ay, ay.
So, and not only is there the tone of the trailer, I always think about Jeff Gerst when he was at Giant Bomb saying how much he hated this trailer. I think the term he used is then had some fucking goon narrating it, is the way he put it. That internet culture, attempt to be, I'm with the kids, I know the elite speak kind of tone. But also, I definitely say for the art style, them trying to do dev cam, dynamic action with the camera does not make the way the game looks. It looks worse than I think the actual game looks in motion.
No, it's very unflattering.
A lot of people have negative.
Effects. Yeah,
a lot of people have negative stuff to say about how the game looks. I don't know if we'll feel that bad, but I feel like that trailer did not know how to present the game in just visually in a way. Zooming in was the bad idea.
Good work. Dino Gem Award.
It's so my take on it is that even beyond the tone, just being not finding that funny, I'm sure someone out there thinks these trailers are hilarious. I think there was someone who left a reply on Twitter.com, formerly Twitter, now X, who was the trailers are hilarious, though. And
they even referenced that bubble wrap quote, so big fan of that trailer, yeah.
Even without that second trailer does nothing. It's trying to tell you, what the mechanics of the game are, but it does such a poor job. The layers of snark make it so you can't tell what it's trying to describe. You're not getting an actual breakdown of how the combo meter works, what it speaks to. You get a joke about combo on combo. We put combos in your combo because we heard you like combos and whatever, but it doesn't tell me what do the combos accomplish. beyond
Yeah.
score. Do I get like a bonus? Do I get like an attack modifier? Like it's trying to be descriptive, it's trying to inform you as to how the game will play while doing absolutely nothing to tell you about how the game plays. And so that's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, trying to do like the cinematic framing, having these like, stage shots and doing things off angle outside of the like side view perspective that the game was obviously designed for. And those explosions in particular, I know were a major point of contention to the point where they were catching jokes. They were being made fun of. They were being straight up mocked by the likes of the Sonic the Hedgehog account on Twitter, which posted this. Inner brand snark, and the Sonic the Hedgehog account would continue to dog the mighty number 9 post for cheap clout.
This was the era of like, oh, isn't it fun to have kind of like snarky like social media accounts for our brands. This was
Thanks,
Wendy's.
Wendy's.
The peak of that.
Fuck you, Wendy's.
Yeah.
It's just a bad look, to say the least. It is a very bad look to put out trailers with this tone that speak down to the audience, while the anime fan on prom night line isn't directly referring to the audience. Is about the enemies in the game, that you'll make the enemies cry like an anime fan on prom night.
Yeah.
That's still obviously,
the Venn diagram
to anime fans on some level. You were going to produce a fucking animated series tie into this. So just shoot yourself in the foot to spite your nose. It's really bad marketing. And again, if they just had anyone who is familiar, not even a guy who's in charge of optics, if anyone on their team was familiar with what the term optics meant in terms of marketing, in terms of social perception, and just had any idea, had access to a dictionary, that person should have spoken up and told them this is a bad idea. I believe we have a quote from a developer on the game.
Yeah. I feel like bad for doing this. I want to see what his credit is. He's one of the Inti Creates producers. But yeah, if you're curious what the developers for the trailer, we have this tweet by Takuya Aizu, which was put out the next day, and I'll get you to read for Aizu.
What the hell was Deep Silver thinking making a crappy promotional video like this? Unforgivable. They censor Deep Silver with asterisks. They put D asterisk IL asterisk, but clearly Deep Silver. So they're putting the blame on Deep Silver's promotional machine for this, which might well be the case.
Yeah, again, it speaks to if the stuff Keiji and Inafune said earlier. Sounds like Deep Silver and Concept were not on the same page or communicating very well. And I guess so, because surely if they would have shown Concept the first trailer and they would have known, but I guess they didn't.
I guess not.
But maybe. So Mighty Number 9 did launch on June 21st, 2016. Mostly. The Xbox 360 version took a few extra days. The Mac and Linux versions ended up coming out on August the 25th. And then Kickstarter shenanigans, some backer codes didn't immediately go out. Also, the Wii U version launched with some potential game-breaking bugs, some in the base game and some in the DLC, though these did get patched in the next few days, and some of that is detailed in this Polygon article. Mighty Number 9 had a rough launch day by Allegra Frank, and that also details some stuff we'll get into here. But most gaming outlets got advanced copies for review, so critical reception had already been coming out days before release. How was critical reception? Not great. And I will
read. Yes.
Yeah. We have three here. I try to go for the most notable outlets, because a lot of outlets did cover this. So there are more like positive and negative reviews out there, but this is
a pretty good spread.
I found.
We'll start with Destructoid, who Chris Carter, on behalf of Destructoid, saw fit to award the game a 6.5 out of 10. They write, "It still has a lot of baggage to unload. The 3DS and Vita ports aren't even dated yet, but most Mega Man fans will find solace in the fact that it didn't end up being a disaster, other than the art style, of course." Vince Ingenito for IGN saw fit to award the game a 5.6 out of 10. In their review, they write, "Despite its pedigree, Mighty Number 9 doesn't seem to have a good sense of what was fun about Mega Man, or 2D action platformers in general. There are brief moments where its pieces come together, but even then it's hamstrung by its visually joyless art and animation. The soul of the Blue Bomber just isn't here, and worse yet, there's no endearing personality of its own, and as a result, Mighty Number 9 feels much more like a second-rate imposter than a spiritual successor." And finally, we have a quote from official PlayStation Magazine UK, issue 125. I don't have a link for that one because that was probably...
I looked, couldn't find it, unfortunately. Future
fair.
Publishing. So.
Yep, bastards. 4 out of 10 scoring review, and the reviewer writes, "Weirdly passionless, with rough edges at all corners that leave you wondering where all that money went. Current sequel talk is bonkers."
What country wrote that review? Yeah, I didn't have, again, couldn't find the full review, but that's like the most negative review from like a major review outlet, so I wanted to reference that one. So yeah, imagine you were a Kickstarter backer and then you were seeing all these reviews coming out. That kind of felt great.
No, certainly not. But, you know, at the same time, what do these reviewers know, right? I mean, these aren't... This was the copium, to borrow a word, the people who are terminally online use, that I saw a lot of fans engaging in and indulging in at this time, was that these reviewers aren't huge Mega Man fans. They don't know what makes a good Mega Man game. Clearly the game is going to be good because Keiji Inafune is involved, because it's got him in it, and he's the father of Mega Man, so he knows what the Mega Man fans want. And, you know, this was the lies, the pretty little lies we tell ourselves to try to soften the blow of the eventual end product. Yeah.
So, Concept did a Twitch stream for the game's launch with a reoccurring topic and messaging from the developers, primarily via Ben Judd, who was doing the translation and hosting, was finishing and releasing the game, it's hard enough. And even harder with a crowdfunded development that overestimated what its final budget would be, as mentioned, about 60% of the 4 million raised at most. What that budget would allow, and the big ambitions they had set themselves with all the stretch goals, released on so many platforms. Interestingly, Ben Judd confirms in the stream that all the platforms were worked on simultaneously, instead of what typically you do is you make a main SKU and then you port that.
Yeah, primarily the original, like, intended version, the source version that becomes the basis for all other ports and conversions.
Yeah. And, you know, Top It 1, doing online multiplayer for every version. It's surprisingly open about the development issues and mistakes being made, with even Ben Judd noting it's rare for Japanese developers to do immediate post-mortems like this, though maybe this ran hollow with backers considering the many mistakes in communication we've covered. While the developers allude to, or even directly reference weaker points of the final game, the idea of further working on the game never comes up beyond, like, oh, if we have to patch a bug or something minor. Instead, focusing on the idea of carrying lessons over to a hypothetical future project. I did watch this full stream. It's described. I did a cast. I did watch it sped up.
Good.
It's often described as like very somber. I'd say it's a bit more uplifted than that. Ben Judd has a more like positive outlook, but he's definitely pushing this idea of like, hey, you got to understand, even getting a game out, especially the way we're doing this, is really hard, and that really explains that quote everyone latches onto, the say what you want, but it's better than nothing. Like, in the full context of the stream, what he's literally saying is like, it's better than if we had failed to release this. And I get where he's coming from there. So some of the specific quotes from the different team members are available to read in the cited Polygon article from earlier. But if you do want to watch the live stream in full, despite its reputation as being lost media, the full archive can be found on a Daily Motion account, along also with the entire Kickstarter launch live stream. The account is mighty number 67227+, and it's split into 2 parts.
I'll just link the user account, then you can find the videos from there.
Yeah.
But it is good that it's preserved, and we also have our local copies in case something ever happens to the Daily Motion.
Because considering we're covering it, just in case someone doesn't feel like being the hoster. But it's an interesting watch. Ben Judd even references the kind of mockery of the explosions looking like pizza, and trying to find an art director to talk about it, but he doesn't find one. They also have pizza on the stream, and the other thing, oh, there was one more thing I was gonna say, but I think I've forgotten it. But yeah, it's interesting from that perspective. But is it? Oh, and he also talks about salty comments in the live stream. He has to stress like, hey, we want real constructive comments. We don't want people just being like angry and things, even if we understand why you are angry. So it's a very interesting tone he has with the audience while he's trying to be
very delicate balance
positive.
you have to try and strike, knowing
Yeah.
that the crowd is going to be against you, but you're still trying to play babyface in some capacity, and so you need to like mitigate the negative comments, sell people on the game. It's I don't envy anyone in that position. I don't envy the position they were put in. I still say that the better than nothing line, even understanding its original context, is just a line that the second it escapes your lips, you have to know you fucked up irrevocably.
Oh, I think so. That's why, because he follows up with, well, that's just my opinion. That's him thinking, oh, I need to make sure I'm just saying as a fan, because he would have just been, translating for people, not really doing game development stuff as far as I know. But yeah, hindsight's 2020. Especially because some of the reported that Keiji Inafune said it, which is not the case. And if you watched the stream, it was obvious that wasn't his comment. But yeah, you know how the internet is at times.
Yeah.
And that's the story as it lands on launch day.
Yeah, as we mentioned, we still have the post-release to get around to in due time with the end of the playthrough. But we're 2 hours into this episode already. We've just done history. We haven't played any gameplay as of yet, but that's kind of what people sign up for when they tune in for a history section.
We don't
of
get
Game Hall of Fame.
we don't get to make the story. We just get to tell it. So that's what all the history with the Kickstarter. Again, even more happened with it. So
we will reflect on it.
We condensed it. Yeah.
I think we should reflect on what we just covered just briefly before we get to the game, to say that there's sympathy for the team. There's sympathy even for Keiji Inafune from me in this situation. It's clear that it's clear that he appreciates himself, fancies himself a businessman, fancies himself an expert on these sorts of subjects, and it's clear that he was not familiar with how Kickstarter worked, that he was jumping into the crowdfunding thing with maybe one eye half open, that this was something that he clearly got blindsided by, even in in whatever planning, whatever anticipation, however he thought this campaign was going to go, clearly it got away from him.
Which common tell in this era of Kickstarter, a lot of people overestimating what the budget would allow them and how to make a game with that mega budget. It's
realizing the reality of
cautionary tale,
the money that you actually need, working with, on some level. Here's what I think. Here's my pure speculation. Here is, the purest version of this, the most generous I can be to how Keiji Inafune probably saw this whole thing going. He probably launches the Kickstarter, hoping, expecting, kind of anticipating that it would meet the bare minimum of funding, that they're not committed to so many of the stretch goals of the extended ideas. Maybe they hit a few of those, right? But not all of them, surely. That,
you look at the full list, it was like, you should have cut some of these. Maybe even like early on, like said like, hey, can we maybe not do these 360, PS3, or even, portable versions? But that never came up as a possibility. I guess they thought, no, we could do that.
It's just underestimating the audience response and how much money would get tossed at them on Kickstarter. And, with that smaller scale, I'm sure his calculations were made for hitting all the stretch goals. Were made with, okay, if the original goal is, what was it? That's $800,000?
900,000.
900,000. I had a confused Red Ash. That you expect to hit that. You expect to hit like maybe $1 million, round up to $1 million, and at that point you know how that money's going to be spent. And when you're at that point, you know that like, okay, realistically from this we will take 600,000 that we can use to actually allocate to our team to developing the game towards actual tangible stuff. The rest of it is wrapped up in Kickstarter cut and in promotional stuff and merchandise and appeasing the fans, so on and so forth. But as that scale grows, as the number of consumers you have to satisfy, as the number of backers increases, and all these things start to get like way out of proportion as the ratios start to stop making sense as you're committed to more and more stuff, it gets away from you. I want to believe that Keiji Inafune had like a pretty like I have to believe like a lot of it was feature creep. I have to believe a lot of it was that he had a pretty like meager, pretty balanced and measured vision for what this game would be, what the scale would be, what the production would look like. And that they were taken off guard by the runaway success of it, by the fact that it exceeded beyond their reasonable and even their most unreasonable expectations.
Yeah,
and that's where the trouble really starts.
I could be wrong about this. I think they were having to like come up with stretch goals as the Kickstarter campaign was going. Like that's how quickly they were meeting, where they had to like, fuck it, what else can we promise? And I think that's where a lot of the things that would come back to bite them potentially came from, you know, like the online and things like that, and the many platforms.
I think if they just been more measured, more reasonable, if they had not continued adding goals, adding incentives, and raising more money, and, you know, a big issue. As much as, you know, we can put on their inexperience and their inability to deal with all this, there is also the issue of audience expectations and audiences not understanding what it was they were putting money to, what their money meant, what their money actually is valued as. It's a concomitant issue between the audience who, you know, fancy themselves as understanding, as having a bit more insight into the process than they actually do, and the creators offering transparency, but not as much as is expected, and also failing to disclose certain aspects, having to constantly communicate delays. It is definitely, it's tough. Again, I don't envy anyone who is involved at any level of this fiasco. But, you know, like in a perfect world, the game would have made its $1 million on Kickstarter. It would have probably looked more like a classic Mega Man game. It probably would have been looked cheaper and played better for it. It would be my guess. It would be my guess that, you know, when they initially wrote in like targeting Xbox 360 and PS3, that a version of the game that, you know, wasn't pushing those systems at all. I mean, not to say that the version that we're going to have here is going to push those systems particularly hard.
Well, remember, it was just PC at the start.
Yeah. But
so like, not even thinking of console,
it's tough. And I again, I pity the people involved with it. They definitely made mistakes. They definitely made some unforgivable mistakes in terms of business, in terms of marketing, in terms of communication, in terms of transparency, so on and so forth. And in terms of treading on old ideas, banking on nostalgia, things that I have like this personal issue with, you know, beyond like, you know, the unforgivable sins that they committed in terms of like, you know, marketing. I just also have a personal belief that this kind of nostalgia-based game is just kind of inherently flawed. And that's going to be my personal take, is that, you know, making a game that is the spiritual successor to a franchise from another company that is still theoretically ongoing, that they could return to, and then positing yourself as the true visionary behind it. I know we have a positive example of this. I know that Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is this story, but told better by someone who has a more legitimate claim to being the father of a franchise, or at the very least, like someone who understood the franchise intimately, and in producing a spiritual successor is going to touch upon the things that the fans want and is going to have a more reasonable scope in mind, and then continuing to support that Kickstarter for like a decade after the game's release and continuing to like keep those people in the loop. So there is like, you know, a counterpoint to all this that we've just gone through.
Bloodstained it looked like it was going to go bad for a bit. That one seems like way forward coming in to co-develop halfway through, save that one. It almost could have turned out to be a similar level disaster. But your comments about you know, this being such a on the nose spiritual success funny, because Hideki Kamiya, you know, ex Capcom, Platinum Games, said pretty much the same thing about this Kickstarter, about, you know, Keiji Inafune basically just making like a carbon copy of Mega Man. I think like Shameful or something is like the rough translation. He was very vocal about this. People quote that like infamous Keiji Inafune's a businessman, not a creative line, that gets like quite out of context. Though again, looking at this story, I'm like, I'm not sure if Inafune is that much of a businessman. Like, he was putting those roles, but like in terms of being creative, that actually does seem to be his strengths, not the business acumen side of him, you know. But yeah.
Yeah. Let's fade out of that for now.
Yeah.
And how about 2 hours into the show, we start to play a little bit of the video game. Does it sound like a good idea? Sound like a plan? to
Yeah,
you?
that's a treat. Yeah.
I would say sorry to the audience, but nah. This is what some of you sickos want, right? This is ostensibly what you come here for. We're just fucking delivering as far as I'm concerned. Ah, the way it's meant to be played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The interesting stuff about Capcom doing stuff with Mega Man is it's come out in the years since that Capcom at the time felt like they didn't have permission, is the way they put it. They were like, oh, that was Inafune's like series, so they felt weird about doing anything with it, which is why they took so long to do anything with it. Like, to be comfortable where it's like, okay, we want to do a take on this, which is funny, with everything that happened with Mario number 9. But yeah, let's just jump into it. We check the options; they should be all good.
This is a fresh save.
It is the present year. Breakthroughs in robotic technology have ushered in a new era of peace and prosperity. Violence is confined to the Battle Coliseum, where robot combatants face off in spectacular duels.
So Robot Jocks.
The Coliseum walls once again
B-movie classic Robot Jocks.
shouts and cheers of excited fans.
A Hugh Jackman film?
Suddenly,
Also, yes, I'm Headful noticed something I assume is happening. That audio's already clipping on the mic.
Yeah.
Is recording. Yeah, didn't know that. Here we go.
System ready? Go!
Pause at the start real quick,
Yep.
if it lets you. Oh, I think we skipped the initial dialogue.
I think we skipped something, yeah.
I was going to dial the volume in a little bit. I was going to make sure that we weren't, clipping, adding, contributing to the clipping.
Yeah, I got tricked. I thought the fade was the fade to pause.
Yeah, well.
Maybe they should have said go start and then go to a cutscene. Maybe.
Retire.
Don't do that.
All right, that's going to do it for the gameplay tonight, folks. We messed up. We will...
Yeah. Hopefully we can at least skip to the... Yeah. Yes. Oof.
System ready? Go!
Go! And then don't go.
Professor! Back. And functioning normally, it would appear. What on earth has happened? It's chaos everywhere.
I don't know, Patrick Klepek. You tell us.
Well,
Yeah.
we won't figure it out here. We must make for the laboratory, and quickly. Beck,
So much like him.
and clear a secure path. I'll follow and monitor your progress. Yes, sir.
Kuzi in
So,
chat
yeah.
says they really should not have bothered with voice acting.
Yeah, I've heard from some reviews even cite it where they say, like, yeah, the Japanese voice acting is the option to pick, as the English one is... It's not quite as bad. It reminds me of... Is it X7 on PlayStation 2? That's the one with the burn to the ground guy. It reminds me of, like, that era of, like, voice dubbing.
Well, what am I fighting for at all?
No, that's X4.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, no, I can reenact it. It's the boss fight that goes, burn to the ground, like that. It just and cuts itself and overlaps. It's amazing. I'll have to show you that later.
I'll take your word for it. All right, Destructibles. So far, so
Yeah.
Trisha.
Let's grab. So yeah, so I'll say seeing the game in motion, I don't think like playing it visually looks that bad. Whatever they're trying to do with cutscenes did not look good though. Like just zoom into default pose and like play emote number 5
Once again, the president has declared a
was
countrywide
not the way to do it.
emergency. This based on reports of haywire robots rampaging out of control in all 52 states. I'm being told we have a comment from Gregory Graham, CEO of Cherry Dynamics. Cherrydyne, of course, being the world's leading robot manufacturer. Let's go
course.
there now.
And this dialogue, of course, being exposition.
Attention. Attention. Is this thing on? My fellow Americans.
Don't ad-lib, read what's on the script.
We at Cherrydyne would just like to express that this isn't our fault. It's that Dr. Blackwell. He's the one behind this. Blame him! We at Cherrydyne are doing all we can to help fix the situation. It's Blackwell. Hello, is this thing on?
Avi?
And now let's go live to our Eye in the Sky Avi for today's Avi News Traffic Report. Thanks, Avi. As you can see, we've got a few accidents eastbound on, well, everywhere!
Mighty number 6! What does he think he's doing? Unless...
Nope.
Could he be malfunctioning too?
I'm just gonna jump over these.
Yeah,
So yeah,
pause. One more time, it's going to do some more adjustment. You
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, so the other thing I'm kind of feeling as well is that by having voice acting, I think it kind of makes the game feel... It makes the cheaper aspects stand out more. Because I was
Yes.
thinking, like, there's, like, no background noise when, you know, number 6 there is talking. Like, there's no helicopter noise. You don't get, like, authentic press conference noise. I do think the idea of a guy doing a press
Break
conference...
those boxes, by the way. There might be items in there
for a company and just being like, we like to sincerely express it's this guy's fault. Get him. That is funny.
Uh-oh. A security bot. And it's out of control, like all the others. Beck, there's no other way. You'll need to fight your way through. You can handle this.
Look at him, he's out of control.
He's
Can't be
rampaging.
stopped.
Do it.
He's gone wild. This is for your own good.
There we go.
Beck, did you just absorb the cells of a weakened robot? And my goodness, a similar...
You know, people complain about constant cut-ins from characters explaining what, like, the mechanics of the game are.
Thought it functional
Yeah.
yet. Why now?
Oh, okay, I didn't... Oh, okay, you could shoot them all the way down as well.
I Am Headful says, focus M. The M stands for MegaMan in this case.
Nope.
I mean, whatever. It's the introduction. You need to set up your world, and you want to get into gameplay
Yeah.
quicker than, you know, as quickly as possible in a case like this. So if you need to do expository stuff, I understand functionally why it's this way.
That's just okay. There's no charge beam, at least not yet. And yeah, this is very how Mega Man. Well, aside from the interruptions, this is very how Mega Man X opens on like this highway that is being destroyed in real time.
Jump,
Oh,
dash
right.
across, yeah.
Yeah. Someone's gonna accuse me of being bad, like Cuphead there for a second.
Well, Keita Takahashi is bad because he's a fucking stooge.
Yeah.
Because he's a corporate
That's-
shill dumbass
That's the
guy.
least of his problems.
Yeah, the least of his
yeah.
problems is that he's bad at a fucking platformer. His big problem is that he loves
yeah.
AI and NFTs and is a bad
And being,
interviewer and is a
And doing
corporate hack.
PR for fucked up video game executives.
Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Hate people for the right reasons, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, not Keita Takahashi. Did I say Keita? I meant that's no. Keita Takahashi catching sprays. No, I love Keita Takahashi, creator
Dean.
of Katamari. Dean
Yeah.
Takahashi.
you go.
Whoopsies.
Whoopsie doodle.
Understood. We were all
Just one of those old My Number 9 communication issues.
Yeah,
leading
yeah.
into
You
the
know,
playthrough.
I had it right on the Kickstarter post that I issued on the Patreon post I wrote, yeah, but you know, the Patreon team is separate from the. We're getting achievements off screen, by the way. I don't have Steam overlay enabled because I don't fucking enable Steam overlay in my games, but
yeah.
Bring it on.
Sorry, I had a little pass kick up there. Hopefully we'll... Oh, no!
Oh, foreground
Oh.
becoming background,
Yeah.
becoming like...
Oh, it's just like those Super Nintendo games you love so much.
That's more like
Oh, okay. I was kind of wondering what's the whole deal with the dash-in. Is it just for points?
No, it's a
Let's
finisher.
actually see. Yeah, but also, they're not explaining it, but you saw those little icons. I'm getting like boosts based on like what enemy. So yeah, the blue's just combo, right? See, they're color coded.
Mm-hmm.
But these crane guys are yellow. Oh, okay. You gotta be careful there, though. You can't
to not accidentally, bump into another enemy who's not in the prone state. I don't love this mechanic.
Nah.
I don't love that it sort of forces a very specific style of play. I mean, I guess it's the developer's right to encourage a very specific style of play where you're having to maintain like proximity so you can be in dash range. But that's just a health up, which is nice.
Yeah, and I think by doing that like big combo with that group of enemies, that's why I could do the multiple dashes now.
Beck, no time to waste. Calculate the fastest possible route to the lab.
All right. I mean, it's a linear path, but I'll do my best.
Here we go.
Edward21S points out that it's also hard to tell when you can dash through them and when you can't. Yeah, it's a particle effect. You get these like little blue, yellow, red cubes coming out of them, but it's not the most obvious effect in the world. I don't know what they could do to improve that other than to...
Here we go.
I don't know.
I'll say at least playing it, it's a little more noticeable. But, you know, it's not a slow degradation, but maybe that would have been more unclear. Also, wow, these are annoying enemies to fight this early on.
Yeah, because they're forcing you to close distance. I would say you're better off not... When there's enemies behind that are ready to snipe you as soon as you... I mean, I guess they're giving us enough health.
Oh.
But I think the problem is that, you know, you're being, on the one hand, encouraged to get in close to pick up, you know, the power-ups or defeat them, but at the same time, you're also punished for it by enemies who are, like, immediately lined up behind.
Here we go.
I keep wanting to crouch, but you can't. What? That didn't count?
Zonda, are you still there?
Oh, okay.
Have the robots torn you to pieces?
Oh, thank you.
Criminy! Tactfalism!
What was that?
Shut up.
That
Don't you talk, Dr. Sander.
How on earth did it manage to get down there? Beck, quickly! You must stop it before it destroys the entire laboratory!
Are we in America?
I mean, 52 states, sounds like it, yeah.
Why is all the signage in Japanese?
You know, probably dashing is probably... I was supposed to dash through it.
Probably. What is this health bar? Oh, it's supposed to be like... It's lagging. It's supposed to be like, you know, you... Okay.
Yeah. That's very, like, fighting game coded.
But it also looks like you're doing the dash to confirm the damage.
I am, yeah. Like when he goes purple.
Fine play. That was fine, I guess.
Whee!
Snap out of it! Now!
Oh, wow, it's dot hack suddenly.
So yeah. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about the visual look. Like when you're just playing, it looks fine. It's like anytime they try and do like cutscenes or zooms in, or those explosion effects that they blew up the model way too big, is when it seems to look worse. But not as bad as I thought.
Zonda, are you alright?
Well, Beck, thank goodness. But where are the other mighty numbers?
Well, based on empirical evidence, I believe they might be suffering from this robot affliction that's going around.
You ever seen Cyborg 009? No, just me.
It's like every bot in America went completely nuts all at once.
There you go, America.
Contact my brother at the head office in Tokyo. Maybe
don't zoom in on this if this is...
If this is what it looks
if you're
like,
not even going to do mouth flaps.
I'm sorry, Soichiro. Please understand. The Japanese government won't let us intervene until we know the cause of the malfunctions.
I was afraid of that. But it makes sense. After all, any robots you send to help could be affected as well, making things even worse.
Just to confirm, Mr. Sanda, if we can isolate the cause...
That's what that face looks like to me.
You'll send aid?
Absolutely, Professor White.
Fly Hats is saying bootleg Tezuka characters.
In mind.
Yes.
It's of Astro Boy.
His fellow mighty numbers.
I went with Cyborg 009 because it's Mighty Number 9.
What? His assimilation ability should filter any irregularities from his siblings' programming. If we can gather and study multiple samples, perhaps we can isolate the cause of the problem.
It's a long shot, but it's our only hope. The fate of the entire country hangs in the balance. I'll finish reactivating Cole so she can provide support. Let's get to it.
Yeah, right now she's tweaking. She's barely here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Professor,
Like it's weird to say. Like Mega Man Legends 1 has
capabilities.
more better cutscene presentation and direction than this.
New content.
Which is weird because like obviously the model quality and things like that are better.
New content in extra mode is here.
What should we tackle
okay.
next?
Ooh, okay. Menu here a little bit.
Yeah.
Attention! A new tip has been unlocked.
Nirpa Baby Seal says the girl robot has a really cute design, to be honest. Yeah, it's called Roll from Mega Man.
Yeah.
This game is so derivative. I know we were joking about Zero, or about, what's his name in this? Ray. Her name, I guess. They did
Ray.
gender swap her.
She's cool. Because it's Beck and cool, you know?
Yeah. Beck and Call, rock and roll. Yeah.
Ooh.
Magic Mouse says she's not exactly Roll. She's legally distinct Roll.
New tips are added
Yeah.
as the game progresses.
Or as Mega Man Soccer refers to her in their advertising campaigns, a blonde hoe.
A new training.
Look up Mega Man Soccer, folks. Look up the promotional CD that released alongside Mega Man Soccer for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, which has a rap track where they hire a rapper to say the line, "Fuck a blonde hoe," in reference, ostensibly, to Roll from Mega Man. Also, let me move the chat up a little bit more, just for the hell of it. Tweak the volume a little bit more. Yeah, I'm giving the chat something to chew on. I gave the chat something to think about there for a second, and I'm always glad to do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
you don't be the president. You don't gotta be the president to clock Mad Doe, drive a fast car, fuck a blonde hoe, and now you know. I guess we're getting into the game now. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping to see, okay, where do these... So, you know, they show these icons on the map. You go in. Nah, it's just a menu. Okay, so...
At least it's a linear sequence of slides rather than like a world map.
Yeah. So, I imagine this being a Mega Man style game, there's probably a recommended order to do these in. You know what? We probably should have looked that up.
Well, I would just do it from left to right.
Yeah,
I mean, the first one we pick isn't going to matter, ultimately. You know, I guess it'll dictate the rest of them that we play. But I also think we can come back and replay any mission at any time, so there's stuff like that we're missing in terms of power-ups. Like, we'll leave that to Charlie to figure out.
Yeah, we'll start Mighty number 9. No, Mighty number 9's first by Mighty number 1 here. A close-range fighter robot proficient in melee combat, flame generation ability, and can attack through self-detonation.
It's a cool trick, but you can only do it once.
Explain.
Mighty number 1, Pyrogen, has been sighted near this oil refinery. Prevent a large-scale inferno.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
All set, then?
Thank God for this world building.
Yeah.
System ready? Go!
Ooh, that's spawn in effect, and some of the texture quality, the texture resolutions here.
I don't like the look of this at all.
Not exactly ideal conditions, I'll grant you that. Quickly now back.
Oh, come back here.
Mighty number 1.
There we go. Alright, so we've got slippery oil to worry about now.
Carmen in chat says, this seriously looks like a 3DS game upscaled in an emulator. Edward21 asks, is this a Unity game? No, this is Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. An engine they claim was discontinued during development.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Unreal
Whatever
3.
version of it,
So this would have
yeah.
been, yeah. It is interesting. We'll go more into it in the epilogue. But there's an interview Ben Judd gave after the fact where he says that they essentially were scaling down the game to match, the lowest system they had.
Can you shoot?
You can't
while
shoot
hanging?
while. Nope.
That's
So I
fucked
think
up.
I just have to. Okay, I was gonna dash, but whatever. Yeah. I guess that one gets to live.
Shoot the barrels first. Yep.
Yeah, beautiful explosions. I see why you suggested that.
This game is definitely generous with the health pickups, which is probably for the best, considering how sloppily you're playing this. But
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Almost look good.
that robot is just doing its job straight up. It's trying to move the boxes. It had a row of boxes. It wasn't even going.
It was out of control.
Carmen asked, did they advertise this game as being hard? They did in those trailers. They said, like,
Yeah.
and it's got the hard mode. We call it One Life to Live Maniac mode, but you'll be calling it, oh my fucking god, this game is crazy, mode, or whatever, paraphrasing slightly. But they were definitely hyping up this game as being a challenge. Mega Man is reputationally known.
Pyro.
Burn! The world must burn!
Oh wow, it is just that guy from
Straight up
X7.
from, yep.
Yeah.
Multiple incoming robots detected.
What? Where? And it's confirmed. Pyro has gone rogue as well. Beck, you must hurry.
Oh, okay, those are in the.
The
I couldn't tell.
background.
You can't. Yeah.
They're slightly shaded to indicate that they're in the background.
Let's see. Yep, they do checkpoints. And yeah, we can skip that. That's good to know at least.
And it's confirmed. Pyro has gone rogue as well. Beck, you must hurry. Here we go. Here we go.
I mean, so far, so Mega Man, right?
Yeah.
Now, I can't speak to the nuances of how well it controls versus like a Mega Man versus the Mega Man X versus a whatever other configuration of Mega Man.
Yeah. I mean, you do have a lot of little nuance with the dash. Like you can hold it, or you could just do that. So you can use it for like very small adjustments, or like that. Hold it. So I like that.
And such power! These designs
No, I didn't see him.
something else, Will.
Yes, well, under the circumstances, that hardly feels like a compliment.
You gotta get better about, well, first of all, not falling for that trap.
Hey, I recovered though.
You did.
No, good. That's fun. That they give you the option to recover those kind of things.
But also understand
Okay,
that
I'm gonna have to-
enemies will not die from a single volley. That they are deliberately given enough HP that they will
Yeah.
charge you and attack you before you're done killing them. So it's shoot, 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 dodge, then finish them
Yeah.
off from behind.
Bring it on.
I'll say for the platforming though, like a lot simpler than even like Mega Man X stuff.
So
At least
far.
so far. Yeah. Thank you.
They tried to warn you. Too little, too late.
Yeah, I'll break this box just to.
Look out!
Oh wow, that looked rough. fucking zip through the environment. Hey!
Yep. They're giving you 1-ups, too, pretty regularly. You still have 2 extra lives, which is the default number, the stock number, and you've certainly lost more than 2 lives thus far.
Oh. Should have dashed out of that.
That's more like it.
This is more tedious than anything. It's busy work having to wait for each of these to...
Yeah.
Having to trigger
Quite,
it, step
I'm noticing
back.
a lot of busy work so far. Like, we already had wait for the platforms that are on a cycle, like, design as well.
I think what they're going for here is that, you know, it's supposed to be satisfying taking out the enemies with the background element. That, you know, basically, like, baiting them into it and the timing being such that you don't need to be, like, bother shooting them. But, you know, that trick gets old. At around the 5th tower in a row.
Ah, I keep forgetting. I really don't like having to deal with, like, background objects being a threat.
You just gotta keep moving or stop moving. Yep.
Yeah, it's like it's not a... Even though it's a 2D game, I'm not playing a 2D game, you know?
Yeah, you're having to account for other dimensions in the foreground and background.
And I just suck, and I'm stuck to 2D.
This is where our stereo blindness really comes back to bite us, Johnny.
Pyro!
Well, who knows? Maybe you play some VR, it all makes sense.
Why you not burn? Why you not?
Caveman discovering what is flammable and what is not back in the Stone Ages.
Uh-oh.
Burn! Pyro crash, and you burn!
We know his height is 223 and his weight is 263, so take that into account when you're fighting. Oh, that's a 234 height move right there. What's his bust size?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's his free measurements? Blood type? Well, I guess just oil. What kind of oil, though?
Diesel.
I'm trying to learn his tails a bit. Oh. I mean, that's Mega Man, though. You do the boss 1 or 2 times, get the patterns, go back in.
I have a feeling we're going to need to increase the number of spare lives we start with at a certain point.
Yeah.
That or I need to start playing. Which I definitely don't want to do.
Yeah. Okay, so the ground one, he leaves the flames behind him, right? No, he does it for both of them. Okay, so how do you know the difference?
Definitely needs to use the dash on the ground more frequently. I don't know how you get out of that one, though. Yeah, that one is...
Yeah. Okay, so where does it actually let you restart?
Beginning of the level, clearly.
Alright. Wait, what are these? Yeah, that is the beginning. Alright. Can we change it from here?
The controls? Who's controlling it?
No. The live fins. There's the controls, by the way. Check that out.
Oh, very cool.
No, we'd have to title screen.
Yeah,
what do you
retire,
want to do?
bitch.
Sort that out? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Well, guess I'm retired.
What should we tackle next?
Can we change it from here?
Exit game, because I wanted to recognize my controller as well.
Alright. Oh, yeah, I'll be helpful.
We can calibrate. Calibrate that controller real
go.
quick. Let's see how that works.
What does that mean exactly?
Please use the keyboard during button if we're controlling for...
Well, this is all you then.
Okay. Ready? Ready for... okay, page down. Okay, so it's only going to recognize you in this, so...
Oh, so it's saying, hey, press the button. This is very fighting game coded. So if you were playing on a fighting stick for some reason, that's how you would do this.
very cool.
I mean, that's good. That's there, but it's just weird.
Initializing powered.
Yeah, I did have some parsec
now.
hiccups there.
Yeah, I'll give this a shot. And this time we can actually catch the title cards at the top. And then we'll see how good I am at a Mega Man.
Yeah.
We'll see if my skills hold up from
Yeah.
being so
Do
good
miss
at Mega
the
Man
charge
2.
beam from X though.
I don't give a fuck about charge beams. I don't give a fuck about
Well,
chargeable
that's
weapons.
that's only because recency bias. I kept wanting to like charge. It's like, oh right now, I can't.
So I'm trying to relaunch the game, and it's struggling to relaunch.
Yeah. Wait, you want to play it again?
That one would be enough. I thought you would have learned your lesson. I mean, I have to go into the fucking task manager and find what the process name for this is now, and then kill that, which is always a good sign. Ooh, boy. Okay, let's try it like this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in some ways this is showing how good of a PC port this is. Granted, this hasn't been updated since, from what I looked up, it got like a couple of updates around the time it came out, like the week, and that was about it. So maybe this would have been better, on PCs of the time.
Well, it's just slightly infuriating.
Yeah. Jojo does have a good question about, so for Mega Man fans, how does the music compare so far? Yeah, very generic. I couldn't have like told you like hum a hymn, a melody we've heard so far, which is weird because there are Mega Man composers who worked on this. Like Minami was the Mega Man 1 composer, and at some point in the Kickstarter, the Mega Man 2 composer came on to development. Maybe they only did the retro soundtrack. I'm not sure, but they had original Mega Man composers.
I have to figure out what the name of this fucking executable is, because I don't see it in Task Manager anywhere, and I've tried to relaunch it 2 times so far through Steam, and to no joy either time. It looks like the engine... I guess I'd go into binaries. It's Unreal, so is it just going to be Unreal Front-End, Unreal Console? Unreal Setup? No, maybe it's Mighty Number 9 Game, maybe it's Build. Wasn't expecting to have to do this, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting to have to play the game tonight either, but mn9game.exe. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see a running process for it.
All right. One more go. Fingers crossed.
In short time, your fate will be sealed.
Oh boy,
Superman.
Oh no.
It's not even showing. I don't see any process. I don't even see like an Unreal process.
Jesus
now we're trying to
Christ.
reboot it.
Yeah, and I can't fault you for this. This is how the game is acting or not acting, as the case may be.
Okay, desperate measures. Disable that. Install game version controller. Disable Steam inputs. Just every possible setting I can change. I am changing.
Yeah. And
looking it up on PC Gaming Wiki in the background to see
yeah,
if there's any
that's a
issues
good
tied
idea.
to.
Yeah.
Game doesn't launch after playing once.
And surely no one in your Steam family is playing this as well, right? That'd be a funny coincidence.
Crash on launch, the majority seems to be MSAA related setting. Go to configurations file, go to the INI file. MSAA can't be used, and changing the option in game will make it crash. Well, we didn't change that setting.
No, I literally just changed the lives. That's the only setting we mess and the controller config, but I use the same bindings.
I wonder if it's because I have the controller enabled. I'm going to ask you to disconnect your controller. So there's only one controller that we're looking at here. Maybe that will have an effect. So hey, this is just something to know. This is just something to maybe take into account if you were considering playing this game at home on Steam, which is that it doesn't seem to be Windows 11 compatible.
Yeah.
Ay. Okay, so I'm in a config file now. I'm going to disable that MSAA. I'm going to go to the system settings file. It's wonderful that we're having to do this live on the air.
Bloom equals true.
We allow... Is it not in this file? Okay, I see what's going on.
Yeah, I see it, yeah. It's B, capital A, allow.
And that's D3D. Okay.
There it is.
Set that to false. And hopefully, with any luck at all, the game will actually launch now.
Yeah.
Again, I can assure folk at home, I am monitoring Task Manager like a hawk.
Yeah.
I'm looking for any executables that should be launching or shouldn't be launching, and it's doing absolutely nothing. Okay, I give up on launching it through Steam. I'm going to try to launch it through just the executable, and I'm sure there's going to be an error message attached. I'm sure it's going to say something to the effect of, like, try launching the game through Steam, but I at least need to fucking try. What was the executable path again?
Oh, I don't know the path. I remember the name, though.
Binaries. Yep. There's actually 2 executables here.
Oh, fun.
that are identical in different directories. Oh, this is the Epic Games launcher is inside of here, because this had an Epic Games service attached to it.
Huh. Oh, with some version of the game's running.
And no one's going to hear it at home because I'm using a different executable than the... Let's try that again.
I wonder why there's 2 executables. Wonder if one's like a beta version or something weird.
No, one of them was a wrapper for the Epic launcher. One of them was a wrapper specifically for the Steam launcher.
Ah, okay. Should that be in the Steam files? Is that normal? I don't look into that kind of file stuff often.
It's Mighty Number 9.
Hey!
Okay, I'm in control.
Thank you for bearing with us through that, folks.
I have to rebind all the controllers. I have to actually legitimately calibrate the controller because I disabled Steam input, so now every input is completely fucked. So let's do this.
Hey! That's a good thing they have this feature then, isn't it? That's clicking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I still can't use my D-pad. I can only use the analog stick. Whatever at this point.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely say for that first level, like outside of maybe a power-up for the boss, it seemed totally fine to do just with the base version of Beck here. So yeah, R1 was the dash. Like I said, you could hold it for a longer one, or just tap it and he does like a quick one.
Yep, got it.
Quickly now, Beck. Locate Mighty Number 1.
Wish I had a double jump. Is he gonna set the oil on fire if I, Well, I'm just gonna avoid that.
I don't think so. I know some other enemies could. Oh, okay. Falling boxes.
I also tried crouching, and you can't crouch in this game.
Yeah, I kept wanting to crouch.
Want to crouch, yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. Mega Man X on Super Nintendo, never had it, and I probably the PlayStation 1 games didn't either. Could have added that. That would have been nice. It doesn't look good, but I do like that little kick in his legs animation he does when you're holding onto a ledge.
It's cute.
Yeah. Doesn't look good, but I do like it.
They got so many explosive barrels in the background. terrifying.
This is a game I would mute the if it had an option, the gameplay grunts.
Bring it on.
Well, I'll tell you one thing for free. This game does have a retro soundtrack option.
Yes.
That people do
which was
swear
one of
by.
that was one of the stretch goals. So yeah, maybe that's not just retro composition, but new songs. Maybe that's what the Mega Man 2 composer did.
Right.
That's very Mega Man to do that. Oh yeah, there's a platform I need to go to. Enemy off screen jumps on it.
Here we go.
I don't love the
I haven't quite
dashing.
figured out. Yeah. I mean, I like it in the sense that you can save yourself from precarious situations.
Here we go.
I don't
you
like
really
it
need
being
to have-
strictly necessary in every aspect and every facet of gameplay.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, if it was just optional. But it's you want to be taking out enemies that way. I found with the shield guys, just spam shoot, and then you'll hit them before they counterattack most of the time, especially if you're close.
Here we go.
But yeah, they want you to have good master of the dash length.
Bring it on.
So you're not, for example, when there's dangers behind an enemy you're dashing into,
I was trying to get
you're
him
not
the last
hurting
second.
yourself. Yeah. Because yeah, not only is it quicker to take out enemies that way, you get the stat boosts.
From the top.
It's confirmed. Pyro has gone rogue as well.
But yeah,
You must hurry.
maybe we do have a mighty expert number. Well, one would be enough, but many numbers in chat. If anyone knows what the different percentages mean.
Ooh, that was a big stutter. Did you catch that shit?
Oh, that wasn't Parsec. Yeah,
Nope,
okay.
that was the
I did see
game
that.
legitimately freezing up.
Yeah, no, again, sometimes Parsec does stuff, so I don't comment on it. But if that was, if everyone saw that, yee. Oh, Edward21 pointed out that, enemies, objects don't have shadows. It's just the baked-in stuff. Yeah, aside from the texture quality, model quality, this looks very... But not even PlayStation 2, even. Late-ish 3D PlayStation 1, but even then, I think, again, Mega Man Legends, in some regards, looks better than this in its presentation.
And again, for the benefit of
maybe
folk at home,
Dreamcast.
Sharky was supposed to play this. Neither of us were prepared to play this game. What fucking happened there? What killed me there?
I am
didn't
confused,
jump.
yeah.
I can assure you I did not jump into the spikes above my head.
Here we go.
But yeah, as mentioned, they had to scale for the lowest spec hardware. Ironic, considering
Lowest
that
common
those versions never
denominator,
came
yeah.
out. Yeah, lowest common denominator, yeah.
Bring it on.
But even on a artistic level, again, the cutting presentation, for example, as bad as the ones are.
Oh, I hate this. That's a one-hit kill.
What happened?
I jumped by accident on that one to get the dash initiated, forgetting that you can just dash on the ground.
Yeah.
Just make it damage. Just punish me by making it damage, not an instant kill.
That's more like it.
I got through the whole section without the ground getting lit on fire, by the way.
Oh, nice.
This means you got to be super quick about when the enemies that set the ground to fire appear, like this guy and the other guy. Gotta kill them before they have a chance to do their attack.
Yeah. The thing to remember is that you've always got the ledge grab, so even if you're dashing into a jump you can't make, ledge grab will save it.
Compromise the integrity of nearby structures. Please proceed with caution.
But it's just very telling to me. It's games that Capcom would have made, probably on a similar scale budget to this. Like, it's weird thinking that Mega Man Legends had, like, better cutscene direction.
That's more like
It's like, yeah, just having, like, high-quality textures and models isn't everything. Often you can do way more with less, you know? I see some questions in chat or comments. Tonya Cat in chat mentions apparently the PlayStation 3 and Wii U versions of this game are super busted. I knew about the Wii U version having issues, though reportedly it was patched. I could see it not being that fixed. Didn't know the PS3 version was also busted.
I'd believe it.
Yeah. And Super Tony the Tiger 64 asking if the online still exists. Yeah, I believe it was supposed to have some sort of matchmaking component. I would be curious to know if that, but obviously we'll have to find people to test with. I do see Vince Vodka Cheese in chat confirming it does work. And yeah, the Carl Lover mentions the bricky thing. Yeah, that's apparently what the issues were at launch. But reportedly, they were fixed. Nerpa Baby Seal says, this had online? Oh, this game got delayed over a year because it had online, according to Concept. Apparently, like, most of the delays was them trying to fix online bugs.
Alright, I got this
so,
fight.
I'm still curious how you're supposed to dodge when he just charges on the ground and leaves the fire behind him.
You charge towards him and then run away. That's his self-immolation move. That's his self-explosion
move.
Oh, phase 2.
Well, do you know what? I wouldn't have tried that because the game told me you only dash towards enemies when they've got the little particles around them.
I went into the flame wall and it was an instant kill.
Yeah. That or maybe your health was too low. We'll see. Obviously, we're not going to test it, but I think you were close there, low health. I see Pro Striker 92 comparing this to PSP like Mega Man X Maverick Hunter. Here's the thing though, and maybe we'll talk about this when we do some like initial wrap-up thoughts. If this was a PSP game, what they would have done for cutscene presentation is use, portraits. Like character art, instead of trying to like zoom in and show them in game. And obviously that's, work to have an artist make them. But if this limited scope, something like that would have been the better option than trying to animate the models. If you'd done that, you wouldn't have had to have done cutscene animations for the models. I don't know if that would have been cheaper. That's very armchair game director. But that might have been the more sensible option in the long term. Oh, yeah, by Jove, I think you got it.
Yep.
Come on! Snap out of it! Now! Beck! Is that you?
Yeah, they really should not put the camera that close to these animations.
How many deaths did I incur for that? But somehow not on the screen here. D rank.
Yeah. You got, well, yeah, because you got 0 points in everything except Zell. Absorbativity. Average. Absorbativity. And then shouldn't it be absorber or absorb? Oh, stupid made up portmanteau words.
Pyrogen.
Yeah. This I see that key art a lot with this game. That's like the other form they show a lot.
Atta boy, Beck. Come on, Will. Show a bit of enthusiasm.
Perhaps you should show a bit of restraint, Dr. Sanda. This is only the beginning. Call, please transfer Beck's assimilated cell data over to my terminal.
His face looks so bad when they do that, like,
see if I can
open mouth.
Yeah.
Right away, Professor White.
How many quote-unquote cutscenes are going to be this fucking office?
Incidentally,
this blue room.
I caught a bit of news on the way here. The president of Cherry Dynamics was insisting the source of the incident is Dr. Blackwell.
What? Poppycock! Blackwell is a genius, but he couldn't possibly be behind this.
The implication that geniuses are predisposed to doing evil stuff there by that dialogue.
Down every robot in America.
You mean how they both originated at the battle Coliseum, but he was caught and arrested. Even Blackwell isn't clever enough to pull this off from inside a mountain.
Oh, he's a genius, but he isn't clever. Okay. I mean, that tracks.
Bron Bronwyn in chat says, "Hey Lois, this is better. This is worse than the one time I was stuck in a sci-fi heartbreaker."
Yeah,
this
he
guy on
is.
the left, he looks very much like Peter Griffin.
He's very anime Peter Griffin. Also, I like Goob Sausage saying Dr. White's open mouth makes him look like a Tim Buckley mouth like character. Yeah.
Have you heard about Mighty Number 9? Ugh.
Attention.
Ooh.
New tip has been added.
New tip.
And view tips.
Yeah.
You can... New...
My cup runneth over. Boss battles. You could have read this one. Start by destabilizing the boss. This works just like any other anime. Accelerate, absorb its cell. Destabilize bosses invulnerable to all attacks, and the damage they received slowly regenerates. Okay, so if we don't confirm, if we don't hit confirm everything with that,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, look, despite how that opening level was, I appreciate that if you want to read all that stuff, it's in an option menu. They're not just constantly pausing mid-gameplay, because I do not like games that do that.
So we have fire.
Yeah.
Is one of these guys ice?
Yeah, well, if you... There's a little bit of text, or you can ask for the explain.
Oh, Sub-Zero combat.
Well, it's
manipulates water.
though.
Can generate
Oh, it does
ice
have an
through
ice
cooling
icon, though.
ability.
Wow. Is it just going to be in order that it's in the menu?
Mighty Number 2, Cryosphere, has been traced to this treatment plant, which subsequently ceased operations.
Mm-hmm. Any more? That's it.
Pyro here. I'm in. Cryo's certainly done a number on the place.
I guess we fixed him. I guess Pyro is,
Yeah. You made your hands big and he felt better.
This is one slippery situation.
We didn't have a conversation with Pyro where it's like, oh my god, my head, I was so... I went crazy there for a while. Thank you for
It was
saying.
very quick. It was just him going, Beck, is that you? And then the level ended. Yeah.
Then
They rushed it. I mean, I like the idea that, like, depending on which order you play, you'll get different advice. I'm curious if that's how it actually works, though.
Proceed east. I've located an alternate route into the waterworks via...
Yes! Yeah, that same dash issue happened. Where it's like, oh yeah, you can't dash because there's an enemy here.
Ooh.
Oh wow, this is
Fuck
bad.
this. Good God. Did no one take a second fucking look at this and be like, well, this looks like shit?
They're too busy fixing the multiplayer. There's no time. Let's see. Jodriel Redeemed say something nice.
That's more like it.
At least there's not an oxygen, an O2 meter attached to this.
Yeah.
At least we're not in danger of drowning. They could have gone full asshole game designer.
Yeah.
Could have gone full cliche.
It's a nice tribute to MegaMan 3 DOS, though.
Malfunctioning purification equipment.
Wait till the day we gotta play those.
Yeah. I mean, it's a point we've talked about a bit, but like, despite the reputation of the way this game looks, and I feel like a lot of that, especially came from the Kickstarter backers based on like the original like proof of concept images, with using 2D art and that first non-prototype gameplay trailer. That this game, because you know, based on those, this game did go through like visual downgrades. But I don't think this game entirely looks bad.
No,
I just
I've
think
seen
it
worse.
It misuses what it has, its fidelity. Like, it doesn't present it in the best light. But like, just when you're in gameplay, for the most part, it's fine. Yeah. You could definitely make it look worse.
Yeah, no, I can...
Or better. Depending on your fancy.
Well, you know what my fancy... You know where my predilections lie.
Ooh. Stink monsters.
They're polluting.
Yeah. I guess that's what they're designed for?
Out of the water into the frying pan. or the opposite of a fry pan, I guess. A freezing pan.
What the? It's not just the entrance. The entire place is
Oh yeah,
ice rink.
Edward21 asking about what the fire form looks like and how you change into it.
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I should figure that out.
It's the triangle button on my controller.
Ah. So 1 second, just do the meds.
Probably. Okay, so it is a charge. And then I can explode, but because I still need to dash into them afterwards, it feels very ineffective. It feels very goofy to like explode and then be like, and now I'll dash into you.
Also, the like flame candlewares in his head reminds me of that power up from Balan Wonderworld, the torch one. Oh,
this is cute. They're playing.
Yeah, that's
Pong.
cute. And you're just in the way. You monster, messing up their game of Pong.
Ah, well, my timing was a little off on that. All right, now they're aiming a little closer to the ground. This is at least a novel idea for an enemy. Now he's playing tennis for one. The doubles partner, I took him out.
Yeah.
Why was there an extra particle effect on that one?
Yeah.
There's only one way to get past all this ice. Burn right through it.
No, that's not true. I guess he just meant his ice.
I needed that.
I can't ledge grab onto that.
You can't ledge... Oh, that's annoying.
Oh!
Yeah, I see... Oh. I see what you're trying to do.
Yep.
You're dealing with ice physics, though, I assume.
I also heard the telltale sign of being stuck in collision for a second there.
Yes.
It was for like a millisecond, for one beautiful second.
Yeah.
And so I was just trying to make that happen again. I think it's cute that the robot masters, I think Jodariel will bring this up in chat right now, that the people we've beaten are not just, like, we didn't just take their powers, they're also helping us out in the background.
Yeah.
Even if it's purely, you know, appearances.
Oh, that animation was good. Yeah. Like...
Let's try this again. After all, revenge is a dish that's served cold. Oh, you aren't hurt, are you, Bet? Here, let me put some ice on it.
I swear I know that voice actress.
Yeah, it sounds like... Oh, I never remember her name, but she played Maxine in Batman Beyond.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like her. But yeah, because in Mega Man lore, it's a bit weird. Like, the enemies are often just, like, clones of the bosses, or you are technically saving them when you destroy them. But it's all very implied.
It's all very
just
Christian
kind of...
that, you know, through death and rebirth, it's... What is this thing?
Oh, I guess you had shot it earlier, so it had gone blue, but it just looked... You know, this is an ice stage, so it just looked like an enemy.
Let's fire it up! The waterworks is back in business, Beck. All that's left is for you to flood.
Cryo!
Yeah. I have to...
Fuck.
Oh yeah, here we go. Trick the TM, Cree Summers, but I doubt it's actually her.
You just
Yeah, I'll be curious.
Chill out, don't you run. Well, I'm sure
I
it's
have the
nothing
I
a
have
little
the
cold
credits open.
shower won't cure.
Assuming I want to use this as much as possible.
Huh. I'd be curious to see what the end credits say, but would you know it? Moby Games doesn't have any voice actors credited, just the company that did the voice acting.
Did you catch that Arnold Schwarzenegger reference? Also, this attack fucking sucks. The flame attack, fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Cryo!
I think I'll just stick with projectiles. Thank you very fucking much.
Did it not do... Because at least in Mega Man X, the elemental attacks they're weak to would, like, stun them.
Well, I can tell I'm just going to hate this fight in general. Yeah, okay, so...
Oh, that's mean.
I've barely done any damages. Well, I guess I need to use this? Or maybe I just don't want to get cornered. Maybe the problem was just the fact that I was letting myself get cornered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my problem, was that I was playing a corner game when I should have been playing like this. Oh, they're totally going to recover their health at this point. Brutal, and so I couldn't do additional damage to them during that. Yeah, let them kill me at this point. Let me do this from the top. I'm seeing some things I don't like, that I strongly dislike about the design of this, about how these encounters are scripted and how they telegraph information to you. But I'm sure a Mega Man fan looking at this would just be like, well, this is fucking obvious. This is just like that one boss fight from Mega Man X5, The Journey Home. And, you know, I'm coming at this from, this is, you know, not my first Mega Man. This ain't my first fucking rodeo, but I'm coming at this from not being a super fan, being someone who would be like, let's pretend I'm casually interested in this franchise.
Oh, that was a fine play.
In the Mega Man franchise, and, you know, getting into it in some capacity. Definitely not charging.
Okay, so minor thing, I noticed in your, you know, your other attack, the meter does charge back over time. You don't have to worry about resource. I like that. That was always a weird limit in the Mega Man games. Like, yeah, you could do without.
I still hate that frame attack. As a matter of personal preference, I hate anything that's super close up. I would be infinitely more inclined to just use my fucking blaster here. Especially if it means I can like play at range, avoid getting frozen.
Also, I did find the voice cast. It's on IMDb. This is Pagekin, and there will be a lot of common, you know, voice actors of the time in this. Matt Mercer is Pyrogen. Yuri Lowenthal is Beck here. Fred Tatashaw, Steve Bloom's in this. It's a lot of the, it's a lot of the ones you know and love. Yeah.
I think I hate the cycles in this. I think I hate everything about this.
How do you feel about the extra display monitors in the back, watching your fight?
Cute. They really, 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 really want me to use the attack I don't want to use. They really, 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 really expect me to use this ability and just to master it. And I really, 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 really don't want to.
Yeah.
What I recall of the classic Mega Man is that you could beat any boss with just the basic blaster. That, you know, you could do the levels in any order. That it's totally valid to just use your Mega Buster to defeat an enemy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, when I was looking up Mega Man X tips, they mentioned that, yeah, if you're going for speed, you don't actually go in, like, the elemental weakness order. You go completely out of order. Yeah, I imagine it's possible, but if they didn't tune it very well for that
I keep getting caught.
Choice.
I keep getting fucking caught. This is miserable. Again, this is not my style of game. I don't love a platformer on the best of days.
I don't know if it helped, but remember with the dash, if you can hold it for a longer one, that might be better than the mashing dash.
It doesn't matter, because what they're doing is they're constantly freezing me and arresting my input completely.
Yeah.
Now they're giving me buffs before the
ideas
fight. There's nothing to it except to do it. There's nothing to it except to just like do the very specific prescribed way they expect me to engage with this fight. There's nothing to it except to do it exactly as the developers intended, and also to benefit from these power-ups. And come on, let me out. This fucking is garbage. This immediately, like, I'm sure the Mega Man fans are gonna be like, "Oh, you're a pussy," but no, this is fucking garbage. I hate this. I hate how quickly. I fucking hate how immediately you are punished. I have 1 frame to get away from it.
Yeah, I didn't mind the dash-in buff idea as a bonus, making it like core to the game. I'm not a fan of.
I knew from the start that they were making it essential, and I knew from the start it was going to be a fucking horrible idea. That making the dash integral to every aspect of the gameplay is just a recipe for only allowing one methodology of play, for only allowing for one specific method to play the game and engage with the bosses in every encounter. Zero expression.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. We've got some comments here from Vince Vodka Cheese. Says, as a Mega Man fan, no, a lot of the bosses are more BS in here. And Direct saying like
this sucks. This is garbage.
Yeah, this is.
I can't believe this. Okay, I have another idea on how to do this. It's getting me legitimately steamed, so that's always a great sign. Sharky, if you're watching this at home, you better get your ass healthy for the next one, because I fucking refuse to play this ever again.
I'm starting to see though what reviews are saying about like not understanding what made Mega Man fun. Like there's the same ideas, but not the execution. And yeah, this fight seems so clunky the way they wanted to do it.
I cannot believe this. I'm gonna burn through all our lives. Give me more power-ups. Just give me all the power-ups. Just let me cheat. Just let me fucking cheat at this point. Just give me like a one-hit kill thing at this stage, because there's very basic patterns at play here. But
that was weird.
Takes so much goddamn damage there. Yep.
You were fully charged, weren't you?
Yeah, I thought so too. I just need to get away from them the second.
Variety House says we need to get Corwin Vernon from down the road.
Yeah, they'll come in
as a winner. Yeah.
I don't want to play this. I'm done. I'm just about done with this. It's pathetic that we only made it 1.5 levels into this tonight, but I'll use up my last 3 lives. I will use these up.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
I mean, remember, a lot of that was caused by the game not allowing you to launch it more than once, the normal way.
I fucked up the timing on that. I was trying to get out of the this range. I'm basically standing still, waiting. Yep. Then that. Then you get frozen, and then they recover the health that I would work so hard to try and drain.
I did notice your explosion does do damage when you jump, when it's doing this attack. I wonder if you could knock it earlier.
It's such a bad attack.
This attack sucks. Yeah, it sucks. And now you have to, wait for it to charge.
Oh my god, they act like mines, and I can't even dash through them. I can't even dash through them to get to the part where I damage. Whoever decided, whoever locked it in that you need to dash to confirm the damage is a piece of shit. Again, just a horrible idea for a mechanic, and I'm absolutely miserable, and I'm actually absolutely gutted at the knowledge that it is absolutely integral to every single aspect of gameplay. This game is not about shooting. It's more of a dasher than it is any other sort of platformer or anything else.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to play this way. It's just antithetical to the way I would choose to engage with the game. And so that's why I was saying, like earlier, I have no expression here in this situation. They give me no agency. There is exactly one way to win this boss fight, and anything short of it is a failure of me as a player to understand exactly what the developers feel like they were clearly spelling out for me. And anytime I fuck up the timing, that's also on me.
God,
I
it takes
swear the
so
timing
long
is
to
different.
charge,
I
too.
swear the timing is fucking different every time they do that fucking attack. I swear it is different. I swear that the first time they do it, earlier in the fight when they have full health, that they have more frames to get away from it as they expand the water, and see the water spout out differently. So they're fucking with the timing mid-fight. So they're changing the rules mid-fight before they even do a phase change, before they're even doing like an evident phase change here.
Bring it on.
Okay, I just want to mention though, by the way, they are just giving you a 1-up every time now. So they're just giving you infinite tries at this point.
I guess there's the benefit of turning on 9 extra lives.
Oh.
See how different the timing is there? Do you see how different the timing is
Yeah.
there? Do you see how it's completely different? Do you see how they gave me like an extra 3 seconds there versus the first time? And now because I switched to this weapon, and this weapon doesn't do the damage as quickly, now they're just going to recover all of the health. And so
Yeah,
that
I hate
entire first round was wasted.
I hate that recovering health in. It doesn't... It's a wrinkle that wasn't needed. Oh yeah, honestly, your beam actually does more damage, it looks like, when you're close like that.
Yeah,
Which is weird. They're having a good time, at least.
At least one of us.
participant. Yeah. Oh yeah, Vince Vodka Cheese mentions playing the Ray DLC, and she is arguably worse to play as, apparently, because her gimmick and gameplay is not modified to accommodate, you know, the game doesn't fit what the gimmick they were going for. That's funny to hear.
Bring it. That's more like it.
Oh, no 1-up that time. I guess
I mean, at least there's just an end in sight. At least I'm glad it's not infinite, so I could fail out of this. So I at least have an escape. I at least have a clean break. Why am I stuck? Why am I stuck? Why was I stuck there? Oh my god, because if you fully charge the explosion, it does a stun state to you. So my timing was off.
Why was she particle mode but not stun like she is now? I can't figure out like why it was different that time. But yeah, having an overcharge mechanic when it takes what, like 5+ seconds to fully charge.
What killed me there? Did my explosion kill me there? Did my own explosion kill me there?
I don't think you were high enough for that.
That's more like it. Cry.
Absolutely miserable. Absolutely fucking miserable playing this. If this was a game that I had kickstarted and had been anticipating, and this is me playing the game, this is the part where I would tune the fuck out and ask for my refund after the fact.
Yeah.
I'm already at half health from one attack from this bitch.
Yeah. And yeah, there were, I did look at some of the comments on Kickstarter post-launch. A lot of people were asking for refunds.
Well, that's going to be any
On the
Kickstarter
comments.
game. That's going to be any Kickstarter project.
Oh, yeah.
Just half the comments asking for refunds.
But like any of the like post-game release things were just people saying, hey, I don't have my Kickstarter rewards. Hey, my codes don't work. Hey, stop posting about art contests. Fix a game, like stuff like that. I
This is our
couldn't
last
even
shot.
find... Yeah.
I'm in hell. Every complaint ever made about this game is correct, and anyone who defends this is wrong. This is objectively just awful. This is so miserable.
I mean, I'll say, you know, outside of the whatever Twitter interactions we got, and who knows if they're even fucking real at this point. I don't see many Mega Man fans just, like, defend this game much. The best you hear is not as bad as people make it out to be, which is still, like, a backhanded compliment, you know? Just saying it's better than worse. It's not much of a...
Nothing would have been better.
Praise.
I would rather this game didn't exist and I wasn't forced to play it right now. It actually would have been better to have nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for the game for tonight.
Yeah.
We'll get someone who knows how to play the game in next time. Hey, Johnny, what are your thoughts on this fucking piece of garbage?
Yeah, I started out with more positive thoughts because, you know, the history sets you up for very low expectations. But, like, once we got more into the meat and potatoes, like, how this game wants to be played, it's like, wow, yeah, no, the main system, the whole gimmick this game's built around, isn't that fun? There's, like, some fun to it. Like, I like the idea of, hey, there's a cool extra stylish thing you can do to get buffs, and the dash lets you, recover from situations in past games you would just instantly fail out of. And then that side of it's fun. But the fact that it's also built, no, you can only play the game this way. Most enemies you're going to defeat this way, not for the bonus, but because that's the way to defeat them. The bosses this is the only way you can defeat them, is this dash. And it seems like the elemental stuff is not even as optional. Like, again, maybe there is a hypothetical way to beat this without that power-up. Like, someone's probably figured out the method. But it doesn't look as intuitive as it would be in any of the previous, like Mega Man, Mega Man X, Zero, etc. It just seems an idea that they've executed so clunkily that is bogging down the main experience. And yeah, presentation's mixed. It could be better. It just seems like they, for the visual fidelity they were doing, they've misused it. Like, they could have... You wouldn't even have to have changed much of the art style. Just stop zooming on the models. Stop trying to do dialogue cutscenes with these models, these levels. Just do, like, portraits. Like older Mega Man games would do. Where they would just have portrait art. Like Mega Man X fucking did. You're doing low budget, that's the way to handle this. And, yeah, music so far has just been unrememberable. It is just... It's there. Is the most I could say for it. Nothing bad, but like nothing notable either. And thank you very much, Blah Hats, for the 10 gifted sub. Congratulations to anyone in chat who got one there. We always appreciate the support. But yeah, that's my thoughts for now.
My thoughts is I don't care about the presentation. I'm not the person to judge presentation. I think it's fine. It's acceptable for what it is. If it was an indie game, we wouldn't even be having this conversation if it didn't have a numerical value attached to the money that it raised on Kickstarter. The expectation would be way lower for it, and people fundamentally misunderstanding how that money is spent and what it's valued at. And overestimating the production and what the production should reflect of this game. That's gonna be its whole other conversation. Voice acting, I don't even care about the voice acting. You care more about it than I do. I feel it's there.
It's not great. It's there.
And in the portraits, the talking heads or whatever versus the cutscenes, I don't know. It's utilitarian. I think they're missing a beat by not having prolonged interactions with the robot masters. Like, that's the thing. I don't care about the scientists and their banter. I care about the character I'm playing as and how they interact with the people that they're saving. That would be, to me, as the narrative enjoyer, that would be the only thing I'm interested in.
Oh yeah. I'll say Pyro showing up in that stage and like, quote, helping you out, but like narratively helping you out was a cool interaction, like kind of building on the implied story that the actual Mega Man games would have.
But
that was a neat touch, yeah.
But ultimately, nothing matters when the gameplay is rotten. When the gameplay is fundamentally rotten, and I contend this is fundamentally rotten for the fact that it is tied intrinsically, that your scoring, your ability to proceed, the way you finish enemies is tied to getting so close to them. What that effectively does is it forces you to engage in every encounter at a specific range, to learn every single enemy's tells, their attacks, their timings, and to judge your own timing accordingly. There's no way to play this game reflexively. And that's a big issue. Because, for as much as the original Mega Man games on NES, that's my point of reference, had like stuff like where the floor would fall underneath you with very little warning. It would have like stuff like the background elements that fall into the foreground and kill you instantaneously. There's a lot of bullshit instant death in those games.
There is.
It's
worse here though.
It's worse here. And at the same time, it is hampered by the fact that you can just kill enemies and they'll drop items for you. That to get like a benefit for killing an enemy, you just kill them from a distance. So you can choose to engage at a distance. You can choose to shoot from afar to snipe people out, to do it like in a very deliberately slow way, or to get up in their shit if that's your play style. In this, you are constantly made to exist in mid to close range because you always need to be in dash range. You just don't have a choice. It's non-negotiable. If you want to engage with the game in the way that it's meant to be engaged with, you have to engage with the enemies at this exact range. And nowhere is that more apparent. Nowhere is the lack of creativity, the lack of expression, the lack of options for you as a player to have choices in the matter as to how you want to play the game. Nowhere is that lack of all of that more evident than in these boss fights, in which there is a prescribed, specific one way to engage with them, with the specific weapons they have in mind, having played the game in the specific stage order that they clearly designed this entire game around, with the way that these slides are laid out in a sequence, and the way that Pyro appears in the background of this stage to make his little quips, the way that the weapon that he gives you, that he passes along to you, seems absolutely necessary for the way the timing of the cycles in which you have to engage with this boss fight, the way that they build that ice wall up, and the only effective way to break that down being have that flame explosion, so that if you don't like the attack that you've been given and you'd rather use a different one, you can't. The beauty of a Mega Man, of a classic Mega Man, of a classic Rockman, is that they give you 8 Robot Masters on the fucking screen. You tackle them in whatever order you want, which means that all of them, by necessity, need to allow you to beat them with just the basic-ass weapon. There needs to be a way, a strategy, a methodology for you as a player to get through their entire stage and fight them using just the basic blaster. So that is like, that lowers the ceiling of difficulty to a certain extent. It flattens it out to where there is a standard of difficulty across the line there. And that is clearly not a consideration here. Clearly, this was all intended to be done linearly in a very prescribed order, and so every weapon feeds into the next fight. Every power-up feeds and becomes the crux of the next boss fight, is clearly the way they're building this up. And so, whereas in previous games, in previous and real Mega Man games, you could have preferences. You'd have favorite weapons that you could use. You could be like, well, I enjoy this weapon, but I don't like this one so much, so I'll avoid using this boss weapon, and I'll focus on using this one instead and making this work dynamically for me. Nope! Just remove that conversation entirely from this game, because the developers were hacks who did not understand that one of the great appeals of a Mega Man is that you can approach it from multiple angles, is that there's multiple ways to skin the cat. Sure, people have gamed out the ideal ways to play through each of the classic Mega Mans. Here's the easiest way. Here's the most efficient way. Here's the way that gets you the most items, the most pickups per stages, and make sure you get 100% of the power-ups and blah, 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 whatever. You can still theoretically play the fucking game.
Yeah, and that speaks to the expression that there are so many different route types and like how you want to specialize. Like that speaks to that you can make so many different route types for the Mega Man and Mega Man X games.
And to see this and to understand immediately, just for me to intuitively be able to tell that that is not a going concern, is very disheartening and definitely repellent to me, and definitely something to where I never want to play this ever again. Just from the little bit I played there, that was enough. I got through that first boss fight just fine. Got through that Pyro guy just fine. I got through that stage more or less intact. And, I didn't enjoy that, but, at least, I wasn't enjoying that. Even in the stage that I beat pretty cleanly, I wasn't enjoying it. It still felt clunky. I don't like the dash being absolutely mandatory. It's like, is this sliding necessary in Mega Man 2 through 8 on the NES or whatever? I don't recall it being. I recall you having options in that game. Anyway, I'm going to talk in circles here unless I end this, unless I bring this to a close. I straight up detest that.
Didn't see multiple path stuff very often. There was like one time it happened with that ice tower you made. I think that's like the only time it came up, really. Yeah, unless they're just really cryptically hidden.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen. And hopefully, with any luck at all, next time around, well, we'll bring in our ringer, we'll bring in Sharky.
Mm-hmm.
Who has beaten this game before, who knows the game inside and out, who should have been playing it tonight. But we will...
Couldn't be helped. Yeah. I might see about doing some training as well, just in case I need to come in for anything.
But until next time, or at least we won't have like the 2 hours of history we have to get into at the top of it. At least we'll get right into the gameplay next time, so make a little more headway in this game. But until next time, I will say, folks... Thanks for tuning into this, the first episode of our playthrough of Mighty number 9. Hoo boy. Well, at the very least, we got through the history. At the very least, we got through the goddamn history. We will return, we'll return to continue with this game Tuesday, June 30th. This will be our Tuesday playthrough for the foreseeable future, till the heat death of the universe, however long it takes to beat this game, whatever comes first. I will mention, let's go down the schedule, and let me make an announcement here at the end of this. Thursday is still pending. June 25th, whatever we're doing on that night is still pending. We're still waiting on word from someone who made something of a soft commitment. We're gonna see if it's a hard commitment. We'll see. Saturday, June 27th, that'll be a bad game chance time. The show where the bad games are randomly determined, and we have nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Monday, June 29th, you can join us for a Casual Monday, the show where we play not-so-bad games and shoot the shit a little more casually. You know our programs. What you don't know is that we're going to be pushing our schedule back an hour. From here on out, rather than starting at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will instead be starting streams at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That would be 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And you can adjust your own time zones from there. It is an absolute matter of necessity for me in my real life and for the day job that I maintain. I apologize for folk if this is putting them off schedule or making it more difficult to tune into the show. But it has to be done, unfortunately. So much later says Pro. It's an hour later.
Yeah, well, 1 hour, if that wasn't clear, yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge. We'll figure that out. I think I missaid the PST time is the problem. I think I meant to say.
Yeah.
PST. It is what it is, folks. You can always catch the VODs on YouTube. It's better than nothing, to quote a... Hey, if you like what you saw here tonight, you can always check out the Discord, discord.gg/BGHOF, community of connoisseurs, talk good games, bad games, every game between things that aren't video games. Join our Bad Game Club, which is wrapping up for the month of June. People have been playing SAS Anti-Terror Force or something to that effect, something titled to that effect.
Good in one.
Very good. It's a first-person shooter, a tactical first-person shooter.
Tactical in quotes.
It's got Akimbo in. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Some folk have beaten it. Others have dropped off of it.
Yeah.
Polarizing game, but a fascinating one nonetheless. And that's the spirit of the Bad Game Club, is that every month we pick out a new game. It may be your cup of tea, it may not. You'll have to join the Discord and try the games yourself to find out, and stick around for next month where we have a new bad game picked.
You can also go through the archives if you don't want to wait till next month to see what other stuff folks checked out. Got a fun history there of the Bad Game Club.
If you really like what you saw here tonight, you might consider pledging on Patreon, subscribing on Twitch, becoming a member on YouTube. Any or all of the above will grant you access on the Discord server to a Patreon Saints channel wherein you can vote in polls to help determine our playthroughs, what playthroughs we do on the show. You can make suggestions to help steer the direction of the show. You gain access to exclusive content, primarily by way of our Casual Mondays VOD archive. Over 170 hours of exclusive content over yonder, over on that end. Currently, we are working on further offerings, further value adds for folk who are so kind as to keep the show running in that way. There's also the perk that comes with, knowing that you're supporting this show, keeping us suffering, keeping us in bad games, so on and so forth. And we are thankful, we are genuinely appreciative to those of you who do pony up the dough, who keep the lights on here at the Bad Game Hall of Fame. We do thank you, even at the end of a night like tonight, where I'm absolutely steaming mad still, having played that game. But that's the Faustian bargain we signed. And hey, if you don't have the means to financially support us, we completely understand. If you're still looking for a way to support the show, might we recommend going over to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@BadGameHallOfFame. Finding our suggested viewing playlist that is 20 handpicked episodes that we think make for some of the best onboarding onto this here show of ours. Fit to share with folk who might go for video game stream archives in the 3 to 4 hour range. Or maybe know someone who's a big old MegaMan fan. And they just love hearing the same story retold eternally about the failure of Mighty Number 9. It's catharsis for them. They just despise Keiji Inafune and all he stands for and represents, and they'll get a kick out of the 2-hour history section attached to this one, with any luck at all. We leave it to your discretion, dear viewers. Whew. All right, who's streaming at this hour? Who's playing what, doing what? How about we send folk the way of... You know, it's 30 years of the Nintendo 64 today. I believe there's a Mega Man game for the N64. I believe there was a version of Mega Man Legends for that. So they're doing, I think they're doing Super Mario 64 at the moment, which I contend
New
is...
Legacy, New Legacy Inc.
Yes, if I forgot to say that.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll send folk that away. Please let them know the Bad Game Hall of Fame sent you. That will do it for us here at the Bad Game Hall of Fame. I have been Call Sign Cassidy.
And I've been, at your beck and call, Johnny Backhead.
That's way better. Way better than what I have. Conceptual Cassidy. Yeah?
The art of conception.
We'll catch
more later.
We'll catch all y'all later on down the road. So till next time, bye-bye.
Toodles!